Yeah, it's starting to fly back. Can't you see the skies? We're living in the shadows, forgetting who we are. Lines drawn in the sand, left or right, where do you stand? But what about the heart, the soul, the human hand? We're drowning in the noise, the chaos and the fight. Lost in all the colors, forgetting black and white. Why do we have to choose? Why can't we just be defined by our character, not our identity? Are you listening? Can you hear the call? We're more than just the labels, we're human after all. Are you listening? Can you feel the pain? Let's break down the barriers, let love remain. We've built up these walls, but they're crumbling inside. Divided by the labels, we've lost our common pride. What happened to compassion, to kindness, to grace? All we see is gender and the color of a face. We're drowning in the noise, the chaos and the fight. Lost in all the colors, forgetting black and white. Why do we have to choose? Why can't we just be defined by our character, not our identity? Are you listening? Can you hear the call? We're more than just the labels, we're human after all. Are you listening? Can you feel the pain? Let's break down the barriers, let love remain. Running in the noise, the chaos and the fight. Lost in all the colors, forgetting black and white. Why do we have to choose? Why can't we just be defined by our character, not our identity? Are you listening? Can you hear the call? We're more than just the labels, we're human after all. Are you listening? Can you feel the pain? Let's break down the barriers, let love remain. Are you listening? Can you hear the call? We're more than just the labels, we're human after all. Are you listening? Can you feel the pain? Let's break down the barriers, let love remain. Let's find our way back to the place we belong, where love is our anthem and peace is our song. No more division, no more hate. Let's rewrite the story, it's never too late. Are you listening? Are you listening? Stand our humanity, let love be the king. Are you listening? Are you listening? Together we can change, let freedom ring. Let love remain.
You're listening to the Rebel Nation. Streaming to the world with two different perspectives.
Join Gunny, Rebel, and their guest on X, Rumble, and for those on the go, Station Head.
Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Ladies and gentlemen, how y'all doing? Welcome to Friday night. We made it to Friday. Hope everybody's doing good. We are live on X, Rumble, and YouTube. I changed the music up on YouTube so I quit getting copyright claims. I'm tired of sending in the licensing for the damn thing every time. Gotta be back here in just a second. He's trying to get his camera fixed.
There we go. See? Look, everybody, I'm not fucking jiggly.
Welcome, everybody. Max Headroom 2.0.
No, well, it's not Max Headroom anymore. It's way better than it was yesterday. It's your fucking little thing here that offers fucking backgrounds and blurs and shit like that.
Now you're froze again.
No, I'm not.
On my side, you are. Huh. Maybe it's just my side.
I think it's your side, sir. Because I see myself. I can see. Oh. Hold on. Trying to click on to the fucking.
Funny is I had to shut everything down the other day. Anything else running?
There we go. I got my shit going now. Appreciate everybody that's in here so far. Please do us a favor. There's a little arrow with a sitting in a fucking tray. Hit that thing. Post it. Let people know that we're doing this. Fucking post people. Post Pauly Shore. Post Dane Cook. Post. Repost all the people that I posted. Tell them to get in here. Let's have a conversation.
It's weird that. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably my system. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's wrong with my computer. I mean, everything else is running fine on my side, but for some reason, your camera, it looks fine on the video, but for some reason on my side, it's all choppy.
Maybe you changed something thinking that because of my shit yesterday? Or on
No, I haven't
Wednesday?
touched anything. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe that's it.
I do know that fucking Twitch is running like shit these days. Like, I'm in the red right now for my bit rate.
I don't know. It could be my internet too. It could be jacking up. So, anyways, welcome to Friday night. How you doing? What's everybody doing? How's everybody going? A lot of shit going on today. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, I don't know. The newest thing that came up is there's a White House emergency. There's been reports of ambulances and gates. Supposedly there was a suspicious item. They had hazmat. Everything else is there. So several ambulances and emergency vehicles were spotted outside the White House on Friday. ABC News. Selena Wang reported that multiple entrances of the complex were blocked off, and Secret Service said that it is a routine closure to investigate a suspicious item. Biden is in Delaware and VP Harris is in Arizona. Secret Service and firefighters investigating a suspicious object producing an odor outside the perimeter of the White House. Damn it, Hunter! You were supposed to throw your joint out past the other side of the White House, not in a trash can.
I gotta be honest with you, man. That would be something that I would fucking do. I'd be smoking a joint, walking past the gate, and when I was done with it, I'd, flick it.
Damn it, Hunter! Because he's the one that's in charge of the White House right now. He's the one running things because everybody else is out doing their own things. That's another thing that I got on my mind today when I was looking for stuff. It's like, okay, so Harris is still VP, and she's using Air Force One and Air Force Two to fly her around to all of these events for her campaigning. So we, as the American people, are paying for her to all of her expenses. I mean, there should be some accountability on that side of things, I would think. I mean, because Trump uses his own plane. All the other candidates use their own way of own transportation. But here, Harris gets to use Air Force One and Air Force Two to fly around on her campaign events. So, I mean,
Just Air Force Two. She's the vice president, so she would only be able to walk in on Air Force Two.
but still, the fact of the matter is she's using government planes that we pay for to campaign. I mean, I understand she's a vice president, but she's not doing duties as a vice president when she's out campaigning. So, wouldn't that what did somebody call that? Wouldn't that be like something like maybe a donation to her campaign through everybody that pays taxes? I mean, so wouldn't she have to report that everything? I mean, it's just something that hit me today. It's just like, it's kind of crazy that, because every place she's land, it's always, I mean, she's used Air Force Two every once in a while, the helicopter, or Marine Two. I mean, she's used Marine Two a couple of times, and she's always in Air Force Two most of the time. So who's footing the bill for that? We are. We're paying for her gallivanting around doing this stuff. And another question is, it's like, since she's doing that, who's doing her job as vice president? How is she able to do all these campaign rallies like day in, day out for the last 2 weeks? I mean, where's
Okay, can I ask you a question though? Okay, at the same time, you asked this about Kamala, but then Biden was doing the same fucking thing.
it just hit me though. I didn't. It's one of those things that it didn't hit me back then.
Biden was the president, going to rallies to talk about becoming the president again.
I know. I'm not questioning it. I mean, neither one of them. Like I said, it just hit me. It's just like we're paying for them to go out and campaign because we're paying, the taxpayers is the ones that pays the fuel bill in those airplanes and the maintenance costs and everything else. Cause that's what some of our tax money is divvied to, is to help pay for all that. So we've been paying for all these candidates that have, campaign, and I'm, cause I think, I don't even know. I didn't even pay attention to Trump. Like I said, this is just something that hit me here recently. It's just, today it just like hit me. It's like, we're paying for all of this. We're paying for all these, they shouldn't be allowed to do that. If they're going to campaign, they should be just like, and that's another thing too. Okay. Since Tim Walz is now.
Can I say something? I just looked that up, by the way. Okay. And it's a fact check. Okay. It's factual. Okay. So the presidential travel as part of his job as head of state has traditionally been paid by taxpayers, while political trips are to be covered by the candidate's campaign committee. When the two mix, the costs are to be split.
Okay, so I want to see receipts on the fuel bill and everything coming out. As a citizen, we have the right for that. We should have, it's transparency. It's public record. We should be able to see where that money is going, if it's going into her travel expenses. Somebody out there has got the power. Bring that up. I don't have the power, but I'm sure somebody out there has the power to do that. Like, because not just her. Go back to all of them. Everybody, every president that's used government equipment to finance their campaign. It's just something that's kind of interesting. But yeah, it's still an ongoing thing at the White House. But like I said, it just came across Twitter, came across the X feeds here not too long ago. I don't know if you guys have all heard too, but did you hear that? Where'd it go? Like I said, there's a lot of shit going on today. If y'all don't know, Trump is sitting in Bozeman, Montana right now. I guess he had to have emergency landing in he had to have emergency landing in, where did he land at? But anyways, I guess there was a hydraulic leak, so they had to take an emergency landing before he went on to his rally.
Can I say so? Oh, by the way, I looked up something else, and this is factual as well. Did you know that while Trump was president, every time that he went to Mar-a-Lago, it cost you and everybody else in the United States $3.4 million each time he went in his presidency? It was 4 times that he went, which is a grand total of $13.6 million.
Cool.
And that was a report done by the Government Accountability Office.
I wouldn't doubt it. But like I said, that's what I'm saying. It's just like all these receipts. Every president, they need to go back and audit all these campaigns that, when presidents reran,
Also, you guys ended up paying $400,000 protecting Trump's sons, Donald Jr. and Eric.
Oh yeah, because their family gets Secret Service protection.
It also found that $60,000 was paid to Mar-a-Lago in expenses for the 4 trips. Most of that for rooms at the resort for service agents. The report noted that, however, agents did not stay at Mar-a-Lago. So he charged all his Secret Service whatever the cost is to fucking stay there.
So go back to Biden and see how many times Biden took his detail and everything else to all of his vacation homes. Oh, wait a minute. There probably isn't any record of that because it's not Trump. But also, every time he went to Mar-a-Lago, it automatically became the White House too. Did you not realize that? It's just like anytime he steps on, it's just like if he took Trump 1, anytime when he was president, anytime he stood foot on Trump 1, it became Air Force 1. Did you realize that? Anytime he steps foot on another airplane, it automatically becomes Air Force 1.
That's stupid.
Why? But no, like I said, I'm not just saying Harris. I was talking about all presidents. It just dawned on me about Harris, though, because this is the first time in my history that, that I've actually paid attention to all this shit. And like I said, it just hit me today. It's just like, okay, who's if the campaign? I mean, I kind of figured the campaign money was paying for that, but are they really paying for that? Is it really being charged in the right? That some of those accounting nerds out there, it's a good way. It's a good, you need to start auditing. We might be able to pay that a couple of $1 trillion back to the deficit if we get all that money back. Because there ain't no way in hell. I mean, I don't really see, other than fuel bills and hotel stays and everything else. Yeah, because I mean, when they stay at a hotel, they got to clear out whatever floor they're on. They got to clear out the entire floor. So if they're, where she's in Arizona now, so wherever if she's staying in Arizona, you never know. They might, because she's been flying back and forth. But
yeah, but it's paid. You found out that it's paid.
Well, supposedly
her stuff
paid.
Because no, she's not the president, so it would all be paid.
She's the vice president.
It doesn't matter. She's not the president, so all her campaigning is being paid by the campaign committee.
Well, I understand in a real world that's the way it's supposed to happen.
Donations
does
from
it happen that way? But what I'm saying though is it actually happened because I don't think anybody's like asked for receipts ever.
See, that's why we up here call our officials public servants, right?
Well,
we pay
our
them
officials are
accordingly.
public servants as well.
No, your officials are fucking me professionals, right? Like they're not listening to the people. Like what I mean? Okay, what I'm meaning, Rebel, is that like up here, if they don't listen to us and they lose their position, they don't make any money after that other than going back to a job. They don't get paid out. They don't. They get a pension like every other Canadian does. So I get a CPP.
Yeah.
I got Canadian pension plan, but and my own pension from my company. So he gets his pension.
Yeah.
But he does not get any money after that.
No, I understand that. Yeah.
No protection. No Secret Service protection. Nothing.
That's just the president that gets that. President and vice president get that. No, the Congress people don't get it because they're still actually supposed to be working. Because a lot of the presidents, when they retire, they actually still do stuff.
Right.
They still like go like and
we've heard from Obama in such a long time and Bush in such a long time, right?
Well, I think
like recently Obama came out just to support Tim Walz. I haven't heard anything from him since then.
Well, I don't know. When did you hear him come out about Tim Walz? Everybody else has said he hasn't said nothing yet.
No,
he's come out for Kamala, but he hadn't come out for Tim.
Oh, okay. Well, Kamala. I thought it was he was the one that suggested Tim Walz to Kamala.
No, I think the only reason why they chose him is because the other ones turned her down.
I don't believe that. I think that the other one is too Old Testament.
There was 5 other ones. So why didn't they pick your buddy Pete?
I don't know.
He was on the short list. I told you they weren't going to pick him. Really threw me for a loop about Walz. That's for damn sure. I would have never thought of that. But then again, after start doing some of his background stuff like that, didn't like can see because he follows into some of her radical ideas that she has. It says the president receives a lifetime pension says a pension for a former president to an entire annual pension equivalent of salary of a cabinet secretary. They get $226,000 a year.
Ideas she has
About hindering free speech, taking your guns away. I mean, that's pretty radical.
No. A buyback is not taking guns away.
When she sits there and when she sits there and makes the comment, she goes, "We're going to do a buyback, and if you don't return your guns, I'll make an executive order." That's exactly what she said. To force us to give her guns back.
I don't believe that.
Well, it's on Twitter. As of 2022, it says $226,000 is what the president they get it immediately after they leave office. Office staff,
Has Kamala Harris ever said that she was going to take every American's guns away?
See, I know you're not going to believe me or not, but Copilot is part of Microsoft.
Okay, claim. Democratic U.S. Senator Kamala Harris once said that if elected president, she would issue an executive order to send police to the homes of anyone who did not surrender their guns.
Okay, thank you. You just proved it to me.
No. That's a claim. Okay, AP's assessment is false. Social media posts circulated recently don't accurately convey what Harris said. She said if elected president, she would wait 100 days for Congress to enact reasonable gun safety laws, and if they failed to do so, she would take executive action. Harris clarified that her intention was not to confiscate legally owned guns. The facts, the viral post that was first made the rounds in September 2019 is recirculating again this week in the days since Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden chose Harris as his running mate. By Friday afternoon, the post has been viewed on Facebook more than 93 times in a 24-hour period. Harris clarified in her response that if people want to go hunting, that's fine. But that she would advocate for new gun safety laws, including requiring universal background checks and a renewal of a assault weapons ban. Harris also said that she would put fugitives from justice on the list of people who should not be able to purchase any weapon. But she did not say she wanted to confiscate weapons or threaten civilians' Second Amendment rights. False media by the public.
Fucking shit ain't working.
And I don't think that that's unfair. You guys don't need assault weapons. Canadians don't need it. You know who has assault weapons in Canada? Gun enthusiasts. Guess what, though? Those guns aren't allowed to be fired. They're not allowed to be taken out of the house unless you're going to a firing range.
Can you come down here and tell all the criminals and the ones that do it illegally not to carry assault weapons?
Yeah. Once you turn around and get all your gun dealers and gun makers in the United States, which you've got fucking plenty of, to stop making it easy for fucking individuals to get assault weapons or even mock-ups of assault weapons like AK-47s.
Okay, but what I'm saying, though, because of so many
what
illegal...
civilian being an
civilians,
ex-military dude, what civilian needs an AK-47? Needs a fucking AR?
Again, all that's doing is it's just like all those bills and paperwork that they've put out over the years for gun control and everything else. all that's doing is making law-abiding citizens pay for it because the criminals don't give a shit. It's on a piece of paper.
So then law-abiding citizens should go through the formalities that they need to do and then realize that while they're doing that, they are fucking preventing dumb fucking people from getting guns to do the things that have been going on in your country for fucking, I don't know, since I was a fucking tot.
Again, when you come and get all the illegals to turn in their guns,
we got
that
strict
have
gun laws
assault-
up here, Rebel. We have strict gun laws up here, okay? We don't have the Second Amendment, but we got strict gun laws up here. We don't
I'm
have
not saying you don't.
Right. But how
it
many
doesn't. It all it does is it hinders the law-abiding citizen. That the criminals don't care, because if they cared, they wouldn't be called criminals, right? If they cared about the law and followed the law, they wouldn't care about. What I'm saying, though, you can write and you can put and everything else, but you're still going to have, all you're doing is taking away a form of protection from all of the criminals out there that do have the weapons illegally.
What happens when people steal from a store?
You're not getting it.
No, I am getting it.
No,
I
you're
am
not.
getting it. But I'm making a comparison to you, okay? When a whole bunch of people fucking shoplift from a store, that store ends up fucking hiking their prices of their merchandise.
Yeah.
What's the fucking difference? If there's criminals, right? Yeah. You know what's going to happen? The good people are going to be paying for what the criminals are doing. In the sense of like, it turns around and makes the public go, okay, you know, I'm paying a fucking shitload to have my gun, but you guys need to fucking make better gun laws. You guys got to do fucking better vetting and stuff like that.
Well, they do a background check. I mean, what else? What other vetting can you do?
You know what kind of background check I get if I if I want to buy a gun? Because I know that this is not in all your fucking states, and it should be universal.
Yeah, it's federal.
It should, right? But it should be universal. My
It is.
background check. If I want to get a gun, if I want to get a rifle, first of all, because handguns are banned in Canada. So if I wanted to get a rifle for fucking hunting, I gotta present to the fucking place that I'd be getting my license 10 years of my past relationships. 10 years of past relationships where they will call my ex-girlfriends or my ex-relationships and ask them what the relationship was like. If I've been divorced in Canada, it disqualifies you from even owning a gun. What does that prevent? Why do you think Canada does that? It's to prevent domestic violence.
Okay.
It's to prevent me getting a gun and then going after my exes.
Well, if you have a domestic violence charge, you don't get a gun legally.
In every state?
It's a federal regulation.
So in every state.
Well, federal means it would cover all 50 states.
Okay. Then how do crazy people get guns?
Illegally.
Well, then maybe you guys got to stop producing guns or slow down the production of them or regulate the fucking guys that fucking make the guns in your country.
They do.
No, they don't, because you can buy
We
an
have
assault
no regulations,
weapon.
so you can just
You
build
can buy
a gun,
an
whatever.
I can go to the States and buy a fucking M4.
You couldn't. No, you couldn't. You couldn't personally.
You get what I'm saying. Is that you can go and buy an M4. What do you need an M4 for? What do you need an assault weapon for? What do you think that anybody in the United States, other than the crazed militant that thinks that they're going to walk over onto the fucking White House lawn and take it over?
You've been watching too much movies.
No. I've been listening to like a lot of TikToks and a lot of Americans.
TikTok.
Hey, no. This is
The best form of social media to listen to.
Right. So you're telling me that like people that believe the things that they believe don't go on TikTok and talk about it?
Oh no, I'm sure they do. Social media.
So
That's the reason why. That's the reason why the UK is doing what they're doing right now.
There are like 60% that believe that they can walk onto the White House lawn if it's a tyrannic government and take it over. Do you, in this day and age, think that that's ever going to happen? If Trump doesn't get elected by November,
oh my God,
do you think that people are going to walk onto the lawn and just take it over like they did the Capitol building?
You and your Trump deranged syndrome, I swear to God.
No, I'm just asking. Because you know he won't concede if he loses. He's going to say it's rigged.
That's his right. As a human being, what are you saying?
It's his right to spend taxpayers' money on a fucking lie if he loses. You're right.
We didn't pay for that.
Give me a break. You mean that you think that
okay? So
all the court cases that he caused?
Oh, look at all the court cases
you guys money.
Oh, just like all the ones that Biden caused and all that on the Democratic side caused by sending him to court for that. Who do you think paid for the lawyers and everything else for the federal government? We did. Who do you think pays for every time there's a Senate hearing because somebody doesn't like what something happens? There's at least 10 Senate hearings a day. Who do you think pays for those? We do. It's not just Trump. It's everybody does it.
Chat, just want to say mass shootings in Canada right now is as of 2024, we had one in February on the 22nd of February 2024 in White Rock, British Columbia, and it only injured 4 people. It didn't kill anybody. And then we had one in June 2nd, 2024 in Toronto, Ontario. 2 people died, 3 people injured, and a total of 5 people hurt. 2 people died, of course. But we've only had 2 mass shootings, and those were the amounts. Now let's go to the United States and see how many mass shootings in the last fucking few months have gone on.
I understand. We do have a lot. I'm not denying.
It's because of what? It's because of what? Crazy people or a lot of guns?
Both.
That's a fucking problem.
It's a mental health problem on top of it. I'm not denying we don't have a lot of firearms here. Yes, we do. But there's also a lot of mental health issues that are not being taken into consideration.
Okay, I need you to answer the other question though. Do you think?
I'll quit listening to you when you start talking about all this other stuff.
Think?
Not gonna lie.
Do you think that people, if whoever doesn't get elected and they decide that it's going to be a tyrannic government, do you think that civilians are going to be able to walk onto the White House lawn and do exactly what they think that they're going to be able to do in this day and age?
No.
Good.
They're not going to be able to. No.
No. It's going to be sad because some soldier is going to have to fucking use a drone on a fucking little militia group. And it's going to be one button for him.
If it was going to happen, if that was going to happen, it would have happened over the last 60 years or 70 years worth of terror, crazy shit that's been going on in the White House with politics. Why do you think just because of Trump that it's going to happen now?
Because I've never seen this kind of what you call terror since I saw Reagan get I remember my dad talking about Reagan getting shot. I didn't actually see it on television. I was too young. So you've had Reagan, you had September, you had Bush, you had 2 world wars, or 3 wars, including Afghanistan. You had September 11th, and it wasn't as crazy as it is fucking now with Trump in the fucking mix. Tell me that it's not more crazy than the past fucking 25 years. Because I will call you a fucking liar.
Don't call me a liar because it hasn't been. The only reason why we're seeing a lot of things that are happening now, social media is causing it.
Give me examples. Give me examples that compared to George Floyd fucking riots. The COVID.
Okay, so that was your buddy Walt's problem.
The COVID fucking debacle. All Trump's fucking misleading information about COVID. All that shit.
Don't get me started on COVID. You know, I'm on.
UC looked at him and said, "Hey, man, we're gonna use bleach, so you can say that on television." Give me a break, man.
I don't know. I just have a different way of thinking about it. I'm not getting into the COVID conversation because we'll get tagged on every damn platform we're on right now, besides Rumble and X.
Why do you think it would be getting tagged? Because of what you would say?
Because when you talk, okay, this is how you don't understand how social media works. We're on YouTube. You can't talk about COVID on YouTube because they will restrict your channel. If you're not like giving certain information or whatever. I don't know. I'm not talking about COVID.
Okay, no problem.
Because that's an argument that is something kind of like we talked about religion. My beliefs are totally different than your beliefs when it comes to that. And a lot of other people that watch this. So I don't get into the COVID conversation. But no, the reason why, and stepping on that onto the next subject, since I wasn't going to do it right now, but since we're on this subject, the reason why we're seeing a whole bunch of crazy shit going on more than what we have seen because the advancement of social media in the last 9 years. There is social media, and now, I mean, I love X, don't get me wrong. I love it for the free speech. I love Rumble and everything else, but the fact of the matter is there is a lot of misinformation that is readily available on X. You can't believe hardly anything that comes across X anymore because people get paid for their engagement now. So they're just posting shit that they think, you know, they try to skew that fine line of what is truth and what is not. Basically, back in the day, it used to be called yellow journalism. You know, to where they would try to get you to believe one thing. And I mean, I can kind of understand. I mean, I don't totally believe in some of the shit that the UK is doing right now, but I understand why they're doing what they're doing. The UK is restricting access. I mean, it's just like there's certain websites they've actually blocked you can't, you know, if you're outside of UK, you can't actually see the websites, you know,
right.
Government websites.
They're limiting certain propaganda that's happening.
Misinformation. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then now they're talking. That's what I'm saying. What you read on, okay, so I know you're going to find it crazy. Like I said, I'm not a Trump supporter. I don't support Trump. He is acting crazy right now. I don't support any of the candidates right now because none of them are good for the country. So you can tell me, you can say I'm a Trump person or whatever, but I don't support any of them right now because none of them are good for the country because they've lost. There is no policies that they're fighting for or they're talking about right now in any of their campaigns that is good for the country.
Do you think a woman can run the country?
I'm not saying she can't. Once we get rid of all
I'm not even talking about Kamala. I'm talking about like any woman. Do you think a woman can run a country?
Yeah. I never said they could.
I agree with you. Like even up here, we had Kim Campbell for a week, right? And I thought it was very unfair that nobody trusted in what she was trying to do.
The thing is, the only problem I see with women running the country is the fact of the matter is we still have way too many old generation Congress people and old generation business people that run the Congress that believe power like that is not a woman's place. That's the reason why right now, until we get rid of all those old ways of thinking that lay dormant in Congress, I don't see a woman actually winning right now.
Have you thought that maybe that statement that you just said about the old men not believing that is why so many people have a hate on for that little old dear lady Nancy Pelosi?
Nancy Pelosi, what? You've been dreaming about Nancy Pelosi now?
Hold on, man. All I hear is my thing. Foxy Hell, thank you very much for that raid, by the way.
But no, like I said, do I think personally a woman can do whatever a man can do when it comes to business and everything else? I have no doubt about that. They have the capability. The only thing, like I said, the only problem, and I have always said this, the only problem I see with women running the country right now is the fact of getting past of all the old ways of thinking that are still in place right now.
Right, but the only way that you'd end up doing that is by taking that plunge, right?
And
Finally
we've tried.
doing
They've
it.
tried. You know, Hillary tried. Kamala's tried before. You know, Tulsi's tried. There's been several women that have tried to get in there. There's been several women that have tried to run for president. Nikki Haley. There's a lot of women that run for president. But like I said, you got those.
Do you think that if Trump had chose Nikki Haley to run as VP, that things might be a little bit different, and that he might actually be like a couple points far? Because as I've been seeing on the news, Kamala has jumped like 4 points overall.
Depends on what poll you see. They're all different.
But yeah, but it's
And
like a 2 point jump. It's a 2 point jump.
And polls don't mean shit because they only poll anywhere from like 1,000 to 10,000 people.
What I'm getting at is that if he had, instead of JD Vance, that he had chose Nikki Haley as a VP, that he would be far better off than trying to convince people of this guy liner wearing ex-vet.
I don't know. I couldn't say because I don't know too much about her background. I don't know what all she's been involved with.
Me personally, I think that him taking on a woman, especially with all the fucking bad traits that he's been exposed of,
but then again, you're getting into identity politics again.
No, he's definitely been fucking proven that he tried to have sex with a porn star.
Okay, that dead and gone, you know.
No.
The fact of the matter is,
it'd be dead and gone if
it's not if you just keep bringing it up and laughing about it. Yeah, because I understand you hate the man. You hate the man. I understand that.
I don't hate him.
Yes, you do. You say it every time.
No. I find him funny as shit, but it's just getting boring.
Well, start
now.
doing then quit talking about shit like that then.
Well, no, I mean, I can't.
What I'm saying though is I don't know enough about Nikki Haley to see if she would be okay. When I think of a leader of, you know, supposedly the free country that we are, I think of a leader needs to have some type of the VP should be like taking care of like domestic issues. You know, she should be taking care of things that are going, or he should be taking care of things that goes on here in the United States. The president should be like the top of the platform, should be the one that's actually going out there and has the connections, the foreign policies, the to be able to wine and dine these, you know, political leaders from these other countries. That should be, you know, that's just like a CEO of a business. That's what a CEO of a business does. He goes out to these other businesses and he sits there and tries to get a connection built with these companies. That way they can work together. The same thing with the president. The president should be the one going out to all these other countries that are our allies, and even trying to make some of our enemies into allies. You know, that should be their job. You know, whether it's a man or a woman or whatever, that should be the qualifications, is they have the charisma and the ability to make all these connections and make them all work together. Now, Trump did that in his first administration. He was really good about talking with all these foreign leaders and making, you know, everybody play nice. You know, everybody played nice while he was in office. You know,
yeah, but doesn't it cause a little fear that his strategy of walking in is making empty promises?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. He never said he was a politician, but when you do that, when you make an empty promise, every politician has empty promises. Every single one of them. They all make promises when they first get elected, just like every congressman, every House of Representatives, everybody that's trying to get into politics. I mean, even it's no different than a content creator 90% of the time sitting there saying, oh, you know, do this, do this. And then,
hey, can I ask? And again, like, I really don't hate Trump. I think he's funny as shit, man.
well, you come off as you hate him.
But no, man, I come off as I don't believe in him.
I don't
Like
believe in him
everybody
either.
else fucking, okay, well, but like, you defend him. Don't defend him if you don't believe
Because
in
he's
him.
the only candidate we have right now that's worth the shit.
Bullshit.
If you
Bullshit.
if you leave identity politics out of it,
He fucking lied on national television. He said that fucking who is it? Don Williams was in a fucking helicopter crash with him, where he told him about Kamala Harris and everything. And they went and asked the dude if that was fucking true. And the dude started hysterically laughing, saying, "In his dreams."
like I said, the president of the United States needs to have some type of a business sense, needs to know how to connect with foreign leaders. And with Trump, we have that.
You don't have that. You got a con artist that's been fucking telling you people.
Well, he did good for 4 years when he was in there talking to foreign policy.
Right, and then once he got out, fucking Kim Jong-un went back to fucking building fucking weapons and threatening fucking South Korea.
So when he was in office, that means he actually held the peace.
No.
So when he was out, that
told
means
people
Biden
that he was
wasn't-
probably going to win again, and he didn't,
Oh, well,
which
Okay.
fucked up him being able to do whatever he fucking promised Kim that he was going to fucking do, or Putin what he was going to fucking do.
okay. Like I said,
I mean,
you
we
have your
talk
beliefs,
about-
I have my beliefs.
I'm just critically thinking.
Oh, I'm just being a dumbass, huh?
I didn't
It's
say
basically
that.
no, you applied it though.
No, I said I am critically thinking.
Oh, so
when we
I
talk
wasn't
about
critically
these
thinking.
things.
So my critical thinking and your critical thinking is not the same.
It's not. Because we were raised differently.
But I also understand how business works, and the fact of the matter that we need somebody that is business savvy in there to take care of the foreign policies and everything else that goes on. I mean, we already seen for 4 years Biden couldn't do it. Biden couldn't take care of foreign policies, and he'd been in fucking office since the day fucking dirt was invented. You know? I mean, what has he done for, as a foreign, to help strengthen
Right.
foreign policies?
Yeah, I don't disagree with all
Besides taking us
the
into
with
a
all
war
the
that we don't need to be
intelligence the
in.
United States has all over the fucking world. They should have predicted Hamas walking into Israel on January 7th. Should have
Israel,
predicted it and
Ukraine
fucking
not
told
our
Israel. Should have told you guys protect Israel. So they should have warned Israel about Hamas a long time ago, so that this war that fucking Netanyahu is on wouldn't have fucking happened in the first fucking place.
Well, I'm sure Intel is not, I mean, when it comes to certain things, but that's what I'm saying. You got a bigger picture. There's a bigger picture out there. That's what I keep trying to tell you. It doesn't matter who we fucking have in there anyways. It doesn't matter who the president is. The president is placed by the upper hand, whoever wants him in there. So if they want Kamala in there, Kamala's going to get in there. Because they need somebody to control. It's the reason why Biden was in there, because Biden was easily controlled. The reason why they didn't like Trump, out of all the presidencies, Trump is the only one that's had as much shit done to him, because he didn't come in as a politician. He came into the presidency as a businessman, and he admitted it. He goes, I don't know politics. He goes, I screwed up. He goes, I listened to the wrong people. He admitted that when he got out of it. He goes, he was listening to the wrong people. His advisors were telling him wrong shit. And then he goes, and I did not know politics.
Right. But then he would turn around and say that he was smarter than generals, and he would get all the right people to run and help him run the country when he first got elected.
Yeah,
in
he
all
screwed
the
up.
speeches, he fucking said, I'm going to buy all the people, get all the best generals, get all the best people to work on this.
I mean, no
You're
different
saying
than
that
your
Biden-
leader.
You're saying that Biden did a shot job. So did Trump.
I'm not disagreeing. When have I ever disagreed on you that Biden did it or Trump did a shitty
And we've
job?
also agreed. We've also
when it comes to
agreed
certain
that each
things.
president. We've also agreed that each president actually is dealing with 4 years prior. So the outcome of the current president's executive orders fucking affects the next
I know.
president. So
And I feel sorry for whoever comes in now.
Trump's executive orders fucked Biden, just like apparently Obama fucked the country, and then Trump decided to fuck all fucking Medicare and everything.
No.
He wanted to destroy Obamacare.
Within the first 30 days of Biden's administration, he rescinded every executive order Trump did.
Right, because he was trying to fucking abolish Obamacare.
Okay. So,
which is to help
no. Listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. I just sat there and said, you said that it was every president is taking up all the executive orders of the first president.
Right.
Okay, so if Biden came in within the first 30 or 90 days and rescinded all of Trump's orders, that means there was no Trump orders anymore. So now that means that Biden took on a brand new slate and created what he created out of what he thought he was doing. Because if there was no more Trump executive orders, because he rescinded them all,
right?
Now it's Biden's plate.
Okay, so
Trump's not in it no more.
But Biden has also created you guys jobs. He's paid off the debt.
Where? What debt?
What are you talking about? Like
our debt doubled.
He passed an election on campaigns for that Green Deal, where he's making microchips and trying to take that on, and he's trying to take on change. What do you think that the Green Deal is going to do, but not produce jobs?
Okay, then why are we down jobs? Why do you realize that's one of the reasons why the stock market tanked like it did? Because we fell short on job market.
What is United States unemployment rate right now? Unemployment rate, monthly analyst. Can't do that one. It's under construction.
Here, right here.
Bureau of Labor Statistics. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the employment situation.
August 8th,
as of July
2024, list of major companies slashing staff this year from Tesla to Lucid Motors to Google to Paramount. After a brutal year layoff of 2023, companies have continued to cut jobs across tech, media, finance, and manufacturing and retail. Titan industries like IBM, Google, Microsoft, Goldman Sachs, Citibank, BlackRock, entertainment behemoths like Pixar and Paramount, and corporate giants like Tesla, Dow, and Nike have all announced layoffs. A survey in late December of last year said nearly 40% of the business leaders has expected layoffs this year.
How many jobs has Joe Biden created since he's been elected president?
Nike, up to $2 billion cost. Cut plan involved, they were getting severances, but they're still going to be cutting jobs.
The economy added more than 14 million jobs. The number is now nearly 4.9 million higher than before the pandemic. The unemployment rate...
Do you realize, do you realize like during the pandemic, you can't take that because we were in shutdowns and everybody was layoffs?
The unemployment rate dropped back to just about the pre-pandemic low. Unfilled job openings again outnumbered unemployed job seekers. Inflation spiked to the highest level in over 40 years. Despite recent moderations, the consumer prices are up nearly 18% overall during Biden's time. Gasoline's up 29%. Average weekly earnings haven't kept pace with the prices after readjustment for inflation. Real weekly earnings declined 3.4%. It's not good to not work over here. What state are you in, Foxy, if you don't mind me asking? And you know what, Foxy? I'm such a stoner. I just realized yesterday that you're a girl.
Says current job market in the United States showing signs of a cooling, though it remains relatively stable. As of July 2024, the economic added 114,000 jobs, which is a significant slowdown compared to previous months. The deceleration in job growth has been attributed to restrictive Federal Reserve policies aimed at controlling inflation.
All right,
Key sectors contributing job growth include healthcare, construction, transportation, warehousing. Healthcare saw the largest increase with 55,000 new jobs, driven by gains. See, construction added 25,000 new jobs. Transportation and warehousing added 14,000 jobs. That has nothing to do with Biden. That has to do with people.
Okay, Biden's
moving.
numbers. This is a website called factcheck.org. Okay. Biden's numbers, January 2024 update. Jobs, 14 million. Unemployment rate down 3.7%. Job openings plus 23%. Real weekly earnings, that went down 3.4 because of the inflation that we're going through. Economic growth, 2.5%. SP 500, 28.2%. And the reason that the stock market has been...
You just sit there and said that everything that happens in the presidency is attributed to the past presidency.
So that 14 million jobs
came from Trump's presidency.
You won't see his Biden's 14 million job creation until Kamala Harris is president.
It says that unemployment rose 4.3% in July, the highest it's been since October of 2021. The increase was partly due to the robust rise in labor force, 42,000 more jobs, people in the job market. The labor force participate rates prime age workers 25 to 54, which reached 84%, the highest since 2001.
And how many 24-year-olds do you know right now in this lifetime that actually want to go out and get a job, but much prefer to do IRL degeneracy? Like, come on. It's a new generation of kids out there that don't want to fucking work.
So what are you saying
for the fucking government?
So are you saying because of you're still working for the government because you got to pay taxes? Doesn't matter what you fucking work at.
How many streamers do you know that pay their taxes?
You better hope you don't say that too loud, because IRS will probably come and knock on everybody's door. Because if you make money, you're supposed to pay.
Well, of course. But how many do you think about that at their age?
That's the reason why when it comes down...
a cup of coffee.
Yeah, of course you do. Anybody want to come in and host? I'm looking for a new host because he can't stay in his seat more than 5 minutes. But no, the job market, I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what his Microsoft Copilot tells him. The job rate's down because I'm a good person. I'm with that because I can't find a fucking decent job worth shit out here. I mean, I can go work at McDonald's, I get. I don't know. According to the McDonald's things, they're laying off too. But it says the overhaul, why the U.S. job market is slowing down. No. I don't care what he says or anybody else says, but I'm a living proof. If you're on Guns Chat, I can't see you. I'm sorry, so I don't know if you're chatting or not. But the fact of the matter is like, I mean, right here, I mean, they're already talking. Like I said, this is a full list of major companies slashing staff this year. So there's going to be a lot of layoffs happening between now and the end of the year. I mean, all these big tech companies, Discord itself is even laying off people. Citibank says it'll cut more than 20,000 from its staff. Twitch is, they already cut 500 jobs at the beginning of the year. BlackRock's planning on laying off 600 people from its workforce. Which BlackRock, one of the biggest investment firms in the world, if they're laying off people, there's a problem.
Why? Because there's a whole bunch of fucking people that work in the stocks.
Huh?
How many trades jobs and warehouse jobs and fucking like just regular old fashioned fucking jobs, not software development.
So it does rely on the tech. the tech has to be up before everything else, because the tech is what controls like the stock market and everything else. It's the reason why we lost $4 trillion in stocks, because those were all tech companies dumping their stocks. That was a tech market dump.
What I'm getting at, or what I'm at least trying to get at, is that stock market drops because people don't want to buy into things, or they get fear in them. The fear that's going on right now is World War III.
Yeah, I'm not doubting it. But what I'm saying, though,
And I look at all these companies as well that are dropping the market the way that they are, not reassuring their customers that nothing's bad's going to happen to their money.
because they can't.
But they should.
Oh, lie to you?
Because, no, not lie to them.
So if
Do
you're
what's right. No, do what's right for the economy. Not fucking jack up their prices because they're trying to get more money from the customer so that they can pay off the fucking high rate of tax that the fucking government's asking for them because they make a lot of money. That's dumb business.
Oh, it's making a profit's dumb business?
No. What's making a profit? This is fucking hostaging your government by stock market. All these tech companies
just get rid of the
dropping their
stock market.
shit.
We just don't
All
need the
these
stock
tech
market.
companies.
Gun says we don't need the stock market no more.
No, what I'm saying is that all these companies, oil companies, all these companies that fucking cause the stock market to drop are fucking taking your country for fucking hostage. Taking my country for fucking hostage.
Okay.
And then our government's got to make fucking decisions. Our governments should be regulating and fucking taxing these companies and forcing them to fucking actually do what's right for the consumer.
Again, they are. It's the reason why, because the federal rate went up.
Right. So then lay off a whole bunch of people. That's the right thing to do.
Because you can't stay in business if you're not making money.
You can stay in business and make money if you're a faithful fucking company.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. It would be nice to live in Gun's Head just for a few hours, just to be the
You're damn right, man.
It's just not the way it works. Sorry, it's real life. It doesn't work that way. I mean, I see where you're coming from. It's a good euphoria type feeling, but
I started a new job, everybody. I work at a company that makes motor coaches. The things that you'd see, like the wrestlers using to travel city to city. You know, custom
RVs.
Are big like
RVs.
No, because we also build San Diego's prison buses, which are big motor coaches now. So anyway, with that being said, I've never have I ever seen employees enjoy going to work, and it's because the company's got it down pat.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. A good company to keep their employees, but it's not employees leaving these companies. They're laying them off because they can't afford to pay them.
Do you really believe that? Do you really believe that Microsoft, who just purchased fucking Blizzard with all the amount of money that they did with it,
you know how much money they lost purchasing Blizzard?
Then why purchase it?
Why did they purchase purchase Mixer?
They didn't. They created Mixer.
No. Lie. They bought Mixer from the two people that created it, Beam.
Right, Beam, yeah. And then
so they didn't create Mixer.
Okay, but still. Obviously, they do it as a financial fucking...
It's an investment.
Ploy. No, it's a ploy because they know that they're going to be able to fucking deal with the government's tax exemptions from it.
That's an investment, dude. That's what an investment is. You invest into a company to get a return on your investment. And when these companies, they'll keep them for so long. And then when they don't get the return on their investments, then they chop them up or they sell them off, just like they did Mixer. When they weren't getting they were pumping out too much money into all these big streamers with Mixer. and they weren't getting their return because they weren't doing the advertising and they weren't doing the other type of businesses other type of business that you should be doing to get your business out there. So therefore they weren't getting the viewership from Twitch. So they were losing money because people weren't coming over. Therefore they had to cut their losses. You know, just like all these other companies. But see right here, it says in late January, 3 months after Microsoft acquired video game firm Activision Blizzard, the company announced a layoff. It's in its gaming division. Mm-hmm. Oh, so if that was such a good buy, why were they laying people off? So that they could make money.
I have the same fucking question.
So they can make money.
But then look what crash the fucking stock market.
By laying people off? No. You don't crash the stock market by laying people off.
No, I already said by interjecting fear.
No, they dump their money. They take their money out. They sell their stocks.
That's what I'm getting at.
I mean, I don't think it's actually them.
Reason. There's got to be what would the reason be for selling the stocks?
People, instability of the government.
Because of what?
Because of the election right now. That's an instability. Nobody knows which way it's going to go. So they're going to take their money that they've
fear
earned.
Of what either way what's going to happen, right?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. So it's fear that they interject into their consumers and be like, "Hey, this might happen."
The political atmosphere.
So you should sell.
No, because see, there's actually people that pay attention to what goes on out there, not just an hour or two a day. They actually have these analysts that sit there all day long and pay attention to what goes on. When they start seeing movements in the stock, the hedge fund people and all the investment people, they get a hold of their people and sit there and say, hey, you know, I think this stock's going to start going down. What do you want to do? And then it's up to the person that has the stock to sit there and say, well, you know, keep it or let it ride or sell it. Just like when I played with the stock market with GameStop. I watched the trends every day. I watched it rise. I watched it low. I put in $50.
What is that now? Is it up, down?
GameStop? No, it's down. Or not GameStop. AMC. I mean.
See, I've never done down. Stocks, people.
Well, then if you've never even researched them, you don't understand how they operate.
It's not that I don't. It's not that I'm saying I understand. What I'm saying is that there's a better way that our governments could regulate this bullshit that happens where companies like this put fear into their consumers to sell. That causes the economy to fucking crash even more, which doesn't help us.
It's not that's what I'm trying to get to you. It's not the companies that instilled the fear. It's what is going on with the wars over, with the conflicts that are going on overseas, with the spending that the government's been doing. They had to raise the Fed so that they could take care of all the spending we're doing overseas. They had to sit there and do a lot of things. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of different little intricate parts when it comes to this. Now, when it comes to the stock market, like I said, when I bought my stock into AMC and I was watching it rise, I mean, I probably lost about $200 because I let it ride too far. And when I saw it going up, because it kept going up every day, you know, I was watching the stock market every day. It battled back and forth. It would drop, it would rise, drop and rise, and drop and rise. Until the point to where it came to, there was something going on with, I can't remember exactly what it was, but something was going on with the movies, or was a movie that was out. But you also have these people within the stock traders called short sellers, which they play off the little remnants of it. They buy so much stock and then they sell it really quick for a profit. So every time you buy 1,000 shares of stock and you turn around and it goes up because you bought those 1,000 shares, the stock market that stock goes up, so that before the day closes, a lot of times they'll dump those 1,000 shares for, you know, however much profit they made for that day for the stock going up. Well, if you have if you have 100 people dumping 100 people dumping $1,000 worth of stock on a daily basis, you know, they're short selling that stock. That's where the regulation needs to come in, and that's what the some of the people are fighting, is these hedge fund people like Vanguard and like Wells Fargo and everything else, like Robinhood and all of them. They're trying to fight them to stop these short sellers, because the short sellers actually kills the stock. So, because like I said, these people are just wanting to make a quick buck. So they're dumping 1,000 shares in, and then when it hits a profit margin at a certain time, they'll pull their 1,000 shares out and make a profit off of those 1,000 shares. But when you're doing that 100 times a day on every stock, that's the reason why that makes the stock market volatile. So when you got people like me that were in it for the long haul to try to make money off of it, those short sellers kill my profit margin. You know, so when people started seeing all these tech on the movement in the tech stocks and everything else, the people got scared because they were watching the fluctuation in the stocks, and they just told their finance people to sit there and say, pull it. I mean, it's just like the stock market crash in 1920. It worked the same way. There was some insider information. If you don't know what the stock market crash of the 1920s that caused the Great Depression, it's basically leading off of the same idea right now. There was some insider information that caused one guy, because they seen an instability in the bank. He always fucking leaves every time. He wants to learn this stuff, but never sticks around long enough to learn. But no, I mean, yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, what he was talking about be great, awesome. We wouldn't have the issues we're having now if we lived in Gun's Head every day, you know. But the fact of the matter is, there's so many intricate parts that it's just impossible to live that way now. Now, if it was started out that way and it continued, maybe, but it was always a money-making grab. I mean, the stock market's always been a money-making grab. It's the reason why you're in stocks. You buy, the company puts stocks in the company. It's just like Google. When Google went from private to public, you know, everybody that worked for Google was basically an instant millionaire overnight. But Google, you know, over the years have had issues with, you know, their stocks going up and down. People lose. Bitcoin's the same way. You invest in Bitcoin, you could be, like I said, you could be $100,000 richer tomorrow, and before you go to bed, you could lose that $100,000. You know, that's how volatile Bitcoin is. That's the reason why I don't mess with Bitcoin. That would be, you might as well just go to the casino and gamble. I mean, it's exactly the odds you have of making any money off of Bitcoin, unless you were in it in the beginning. Now, those that were in it in the beginning, that you know, they've had this many years to understand how it works. They know when to pull and put back in. So, but no, as I was saying, what created the 1920 stock market crash was basically there was a insider information that somebody went to a bank because they knew there was something happening. They went to the bank and pulled their money out of the bank. Well, somebody else saw it, what they were doing, got freaked out and started pulling their money out. And then it was just this massive thing. Now everybody's pulling money out of the bank because of what had happened.
Yeah.
But no, fear, stocks, money. I mean, it doesn't matter where you're at. Any time of money, there's always a fear factor in anything you do. I mean, it's nothing new. It's nothing invented overnight. I mean, fear is going to be in everything you do, especially when you're handling money.
That's why I don't trust Bitcoin either, or any kind of token or whatever you want to call them.
But like I said, stock markets, you just got to be able to understand what it is. But like I said, I can understand reading that or listening to that one thing that we listened to the other night about the yen. I can understand that kind of contributed to it, because there was a lot of major businesses over there that had, you know, like they said, that like Warren Buffett, all of those big wigs had money into the yen in the foreign exchange. And the foreign exchange is really volatile too. I've seen people come out, you know, $600,000-$700,000 richer, and then turn around and be owing $10,000 because they, you know, it dipped so low that they couldn't pay it back. But the fact of the matter is, the yen was dropping because they sit there and said they raised because it used to be no interest on the yen, so everybody was buying, stocks over there. So they were transferring the money, the dollar, into a yen so they could trade on the Japanese stock market. Well, when they rate, because there was no interest rate on it. So when the government finally caught on and raised the interest and put an interest rate onto the stock market, then the US dollar started dropping. I think it dropped down to like 69 cents is what the US dollar was worth over there per so many 300 or 400 yen. So they started pulling their money out of the yen because the Japanese stock market crashed too. And so when that happened, that caused the full roll down into tech, because a lot of tech has a lot to do with the Japanese. They started dumping a lot of the tech stocks over here. So if you want to blame anybody, blame Japan. But I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more technical details into that I missed something, but it was basically the gist of it.
It's either gonna be an old fucking dude or a board of old fucking dudes.
But when it comes down to like job market here, most of the jobs you're seeing, like construction, like we were looking at construction is a commodity. So it relies on lumber prices and housing market and building, trends. They run off of a commodity because lumber is a commodity. And that commodity always goes up and down. It never stays solid very long. It's always rising or lowering, because I was in the trade for 20 some years. So the one thing is, it's like when you buy at a low price because you have it's just like I said, during the pandemic, it's just like, okay, so oriented strand board, or OSB, is what they used to sheet a house, what they used to put around a house to build a house before they put the siding and stuff on it. Normal price countrywide down here was like $11 a sheet. Well, during the middle of the pandemic, it raised up in some places to over $90 a sheet, because there's also a supply and demand factory that you've got to have in all of this. All these companies that build something, there's a supply and demand. So it's just like, okay, so like now with the storms that are hitting, that hit Texas, now the ones that are hitting the East Coast, those are going to put, here in about 2 months, is going to put a demand on supplies to repair. So what they do is they jack the prices up, so it'll slow the supply, so it'll slow the demand down so they can keep up with the supply. Because if they left the prices the way they were, they would be sold out, and it would be like when it happened during the pandemic, because when the lockdowns happened, the government regulated to where they could only have so many people in a warehouse at a time. So you didn't have full staff at the warehouse. So that means production was down.
Right.
So that means so the prices got jacked up, so it would slow down demand so they could keep up with the supply. It didn't help because the government was giving out $4,000 or $5,000 checks every month, so these people that, on top of their companies had these PPO loans that were paying them to stay home, and then the unemployment and everything else. So they were getting free money from the government to stay home because they were being paid to stay home. So they were using that money to go out and build. I mean, the building never stopped during the lockdowns. I mean, a lot of the commercial buildings were shut down. You couldn't build commercials. The only thing the government down here was allowing to be built was residential, schools, and health facilities. Those are the only three things that could be built. You couldn't build all the major like buildings, like skyscrapers and shit like that. All that shit was shut down. You couldn't build. There was only three sections that they allowed building continue. That was residential, healthcare, and schools. So what happened? Okay, so they're getting all this PPO money from the government. They're getting all the homeowners are getting all these stimulus checks from the government. So they're putting that into like remodeling their homes because they have time now. They're sitting at home. They're not working, they're bored. So they're putting all this money into remodels. So the demand went up skyrocketing for material But since there wasn't enough people in the mills and in the plants to produce this stuff, the supply was like running out, ran out completely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the whole idea, so that's, we were still slowly up until, still today, we're still recovering from all those lockdowns when it comes to those type of industries, because the prices just slowly started coming down in the building material trade here, probably maybe around the first of the year, so it's not nowhere near where it was. So you're still fighting the supply and the demand. Now you've got all these storms coming in, taking out all these businesses, residents, and everything else. So now you're going to need, the supply is going back up, or the demand is going back up. So they're raising the prices, so the supply, they can catch up with the supply.
Right, and then you got to work into the factor that both countries agreed on stipulations in regards to how to enter each other's country to contain whatever fucking bullshit, whatever they were trying to avoid. I'm trying to say this in the most mundane way. That ended up creating a convoy of individuals that felt like that, they didn't want to adhere to those policies that we had at the time, and that caused a lockup of transportation as well.
Yeah. So what I'm saying, it's not as simple as just placing restrictions on somebody. It's not as simple as just placing, higher rates on these companies. You still have to worry about the consumer, because the consumer, that's why I'm saying, they always say we're broke, but the consumer, or we buy the most outrageous and outlandish stuff in the world right here in America. We have the highest retail rate anywhere when it comes to everything. So we're not broke. There's still money out there. It always cracks me up and says, "Oh, the country's going broke." No, this country ain't going broke. We might be so many $1 trillion in debt, but that's because of foreign aid and everything else. That money we're in debt, the deficit has to deal with sending money overseas. Their loans, all these loans that we have notes on, that's where the deficit is coming in. So anytime we send money to the Ukraine, adds to that deficit. Anytime we send money to Israel, adds to that deficit. Anytime we send money to any of these other countries that need our help, it creates a deficit. So it'll be kind of interesting.
But at the same time, we're still in a paper money currency. We're still in notes. So the fact that we're still in notes, the government knows that they can just print more money.
Well, and that's another thing too. That's what causes inflation, is because we've been printing. Every time we run out, we just print money. We're the only country that prints our own money.
No, other countries print their own money too. My country prints their own money when they're out of money.
Not when it runs out.
Yeah.
No, you guys recirculate your stuff. I guarantee. You might print new bills to take care of the old bills, but we just print. We have our printing presses just print money to. That's the reason why we have such a high deficit. That's the reason why your country doesn't have a high deficit.
No, we got a high deficit.
Not as high as ours.
Oh, I don't disagree with you.
Well, that's the reason why, is because we continue to print money. All those stimulus checks that everybody got for 2 years, and all those PPO loans, that was printed money. So that's what I'm saying. When the country runs out of money, they just print more.
Fuck.
That's what creates the $1.7 million or $1.7 trillion, or 4.7 now or something like that, 7 trillion. But no, like I said, the whole stock layoff and the whole company layoff, this is due to the fact of, one, right now, everything, the prices and everything, because supply and demand is going down, or the demand is going down, so there's no need to supply. So now they're having to figure out how to make up some room to keep their profit margins intact. Do I believe they have way too much profit? Yes, I do guarantee that. I mean, they got the oil company said that. Who was it?
Does Canada print money during recessions?
But the fact of the matter that all of these companies are laying people off just so that they can keep their profit margin. I mean, I'm a firm believer. It's just like, I mean, my perfect utopia would be too, is just like cap everybody out at $100,000 a year. That's as much as you can make, period, as a person. You know, businesses maybe $1 million a year. You know, so or 10 million a year. That your cap is at 10 million a year. You know, your profit margin has to be, you know, just enough to keep your business running and give you, you know, a little bit in return. But cap every, you know, all these high people that are making 1.9 million, $2.9 million a year, cap those assholes out at $100,000 a year. What the hell do you need that much money for? Because if you cap everybody out and you start bringing the prices down on what can be done, the prices in industry will start coming down. But, you know, that's one of those, you know, imaginary utopias, because the entire world would have to be in on the cap, not just the United States. You know, because you would have to cap everybody out at the same cap. It would literally basically, I mean, I guess you can think about it, it'd be basically just like, I don't know, maybe sometimes it's not that bad to have one world government. Maybe we just need one world government again. That way we could just elect one person in and they'd stay in for the rest of their life. Kind of like the king. Hell, just put the Pope in there. The Pope can run
it. Here, I'm going to read something to you really interesting. You were correct that our country does not print just money. Okay? You were correct on that. I did not know that. But it's because we have what's called the Bank of Canada. So when the economy is underperforming or in a recession, the Bank of Canada may purchase additional government assets or bonds through a stimulative process called hold on. Let me put this fucking word in here.
But I mean,
let me send you this message and maybe you can say this word. I
mean, it would be no different back. Like I said, if you remember back in the day, like during World War II and stuff like that, we got a lot of our money through selling bonds. You basically bought stock in America.
Do you see that message? How do you say that?
What message?
I sent it in this thing. In the chat thing.
Oh.
Chat.
Quantitative easing?
Quantitative easing. The Bank of Canada's quantitative easing program also includes by incorporating bonds.
I mean, yeah.
Like
that's what we did. I mean, we did that at one time.
Okay, you guys in the United States used to do that, but now it's just kind of gone overboard with just figuring that if we put more fucking bills out there, that we can recover this.
Well, it's like I said, that goes back
on right now.
Yeah, because I don't even know. I don't even know if the bonds. I don't even know if anybody that owns bonds, if they're even still any good. Because I mean, like I said, I remember as a kid growing up, I remember the ads coming on the TV about buy U.S. savings bonds. So basically, you were taking stock in the government. You were taking stock in the country. Like I said, people don't realize that because a lot of people that watch this or anything else weren't, you know, were like really, really young or not even born back when that happened. You know, so the fact of the matter is that, you know, I think my dad had a couple of them. But yeah, we used to, it happened during World War II because they created a bond system to where
banks in Canada are federally insured.
Yeah, every bank shares too. Or every bank is federally insured. Credit unions are not federally insured. Every bank I shouldn't say every one of them, but 90% of the corporate banks are all FDIC, which is federally insured up to $250,000 per account. So if you have over $250,000 in your account and the bank gets robbed, then they're only going to give you $250,000 of whatever money you had in there.
We're on YouTube today too.
Yeah,
we're live right now on YouTube. Hello, everybody on YouTube.
I actually got 4 people over there. But the fact of the matter is like when you buy and I think it helped. I mean, I don't remember us ever. I mean, so I mean, it just goes back to like the whole thing is like when during during the Civil War, you know, there's that big rumor about the United States becoming incorporated, which I mean, kind of like I said, if we're selling bond shares to the general public, I mean, we have to be kind of like traded on the stock market anyways, because they were supposed to increase and decrease due whatever's going on. I think what happened is I think it something fell out, and I think all the bonds that were actually issued, if you didn't turn them in, I think they're no good anymore. But well, I know they're no good now, but no, it's just like after the Civil War, you know, the whole rumor is that we were on the verge of bankruptcy as a country, and because we owed France, because we borrowed money for France to the North borrowed money from France to fund the Civil War. You know, so when the Civil War was over, we didn't have any money to give back. So supposedly this one guy that was a big businessman, kind of like Trump, you know, he was big in real estate and everything else. And he bought the debt from France and then in turn cleared our debt here to where we could revitalize the economy. But so the fact of the matter is like, and that kind of like happened during World War II because we were spending so much money into the war effort that we weren't making enough money because everything that was being produced in the machine shops and in the factories was all going to the war. You know, so there wasn't a lot. It was kind of like the whole thing with the pandemic thing. There was not a lot of stuff being produced for the people of the United States because it was all being produced to go to war. Now, after the war was over with, that's when it started flourishing. Because then they started creating stuff because everybody was home, everything was fine, everybody was happy, they were spending more money and everything else. So the money started the economy slowly started coming back up. But I mean, it's kind of like now I'm not scared. I will rebound, hopefully. I mean, I don't see us not rebounding. I mean, some of the stocks already started to increase over the last few days, but like I said, I know the stock market always goes volatile during a heated election like this because it did back during when Trump and Hillary were running. The stock market did a kind of like a woozy thing back in '68 when the big thing with Kennedy and Humphrey, because there was a big thing because that was during the civil rights movement and everything else. So there was a bunch of civil rights protests, you know, outside in front of the DNC. I think it was like the Battle of Montgomery Street or something like that. That's what they called it. But there was a bunch of unrest and uneasiness going on in the country right now. We had fears of nuclear war with Russia because Cuba had missiles sitting Russia had missiles sitting in Cuba. There was a lot of fear, you know. So I know the stock market did a tank back then too, you know. And it takes a while to recover from something like this. It's not going to happen overnight. But when you need somebody in there that knows how to control that. And me personally, I don't think anybody right now is going to be able to control that we have running. Just for the fact, because I don't believe that.
Rebel.
What?
I got an example, okay? You asked how much a war bond was worth, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if somebody had a war bond right now.
What,
It
5
says
cents?
to get an idea of what these bonds might be worth, let's look at an example. Let's say you have a 500 Series E bond from May 1941.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Using the calculator, that bond would be worth $1,811.80 today, January. This was in 2021, having earned $1,438 in interest. That is not a good return.
Well, not today's economy, no.
If it takes how many years?
Like I said,
2021. How many years is that?
well, you got to consider what was it like 20 years ago. I mean, it might have been a different thing. It's just like, okay, it's just like everything that's going on. People that invest in 401ks, if you don't understand how a 401k operates, it operates off the stock market. Yes, you put money into it, but it can deteriorate. Look at the Enron crash. That's what happened with Enron. That's the reason why so many people lost money that worked for Enron. I knew somebody personally that had like almost $500,000 in a retirement account from Enron because they had a 401k. But when Enron collapsed, he lost all of that money. He had no retirement left because their stock crashed, and they didn't. That's how they pay people for retirement, was through their stock options. And just like my 401k, when I emptied mine out, it actually, I thank God I did. I emptied mine out before all of this happened, because my 401k was attached to like hundreds of like little stocks. So, you know, I only put so much in because I quit putting it in after a while, which if I'd have kept it in there, I'd have probably had enough to live off for the next 3 years. But the fact of the matter, how much I had in there 6 months ago, when I looked at it, it had doubled when I pulled it out. Thank God, because I had enough money to, you know, push me through until I could find another job. But that's what I'm saying, though. The 401ks could be good. I really feel sorry for everybody that had a 401k now, because a lot of them had stock in tech. You know, especially the people I used to work with, they had a lot of their stock moved to tech stock because they thought it was just going to go blue, you know, and it went instead. So I guarantee all their 401ks that they've been paying for the last 15, 20 years, probably all tanked. So they have no retirement now, if not just a little bit, you know. So the fact of the matter is, it's money does move the world and always will move the world. You're not going to get rid of it until we can find that one little utopian moment that Gunn keeps hoping for.
I don't hope for it, because I don't think I'm going to see it in my time.
No, I'm not going to.
I think that maybe in one of my grandkids' time is when like aliens are going to come here, you know, like fuck shit up or then help us, you know. I think that Elon Musk's homing device is going to be activated at about that time, and then all of a sudden he is going to like be like this huge beam of light that everybody's going to think is Jesus, but it's not. It's just him calling his home planet.
But you know, I mean, yeah, it's just. Like I said, we wouldn't be able to. I think in today's world, I think it's a reason why they got out of the whole savings bond or the bond issue thing, was the fact of the matter is that, you know, you bought a bond in 1941, it's only worth $1,000 now. You know?
Let's do this UK government thing. When I look at this, I relate to it because up here in Canada, basically the same thing happened with the Emergency Act. During the convoy and stuff like that, and people that were doing fucking wrong, as I get, let me please look this up, okay? How many Canadians had their accounts frozen during the? Okay. Most bank accounts frozen under Emergency Act had been released. First of all. But more than 200 bank accounts worth nearly $8 million were frozen on federal government using emergency powers to end the massive protest occupation of downtown Ottawa. Basically, they froze their bank accounts in a way of not going and, you know, getting riot police to arrest and fucking, not infringe on their freedom of expression. But at the same time, though, you're breaking the law there, so there has to be some kind of ramification. And all of a sudden, you not being able to fucking fill your truck up at that moment because your bank account's frozen is a pretty good fucking way of saying, okay, you know what, I gotta go home.
Yeah, but the Emergency Act is the same, but it's a whole different ball game when they're talking about this. This is for the UK government has started to shut down certain websites and stuff like that, and certain access to websites outside the UK. I mean, there was one of them that I even looked it up on the normal browser thing, and it did say blocked. So they're blocking certain things from outside world. And the biggest thing is now that it's just like people are complaining about it's infringing on the whole free speech, the right of free speech, First Amendment here, but most of these countries don't have the First Amendment. They do have free speech to a point. But the whole thing here started out with the riot.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of controversy that somebody almost kind of created this frenzy that's going on right now through social media that has a lot of falsehoods in the tweet. If you know that, right?
Yeah, I know.
And it's almost like an incel of people trying to, kind of like I guess what you would refer to as like Antifa, kind of, on social media kind of thing. That's what I believe it is.
Well, no, okay, so the riot. This is all stemming from the riots that is happening over there right now in the UK. The reason why they're doing this is because of the riots.
And I get what it's for.
The whole thing that it started out with is because there was one I call them super influencer, because they had a massive following. I believe it was on X, and they posted out the reason why. So if you guys don't know about the whole riots, the main reason why the riots started, people were complaining about, really didn't even have anything to do with why the riot started. I mean, there was the key factors was there, but the reason the riot started isn't because of what it because of the outcome of the incident. So the three little girls that were stabbed and killed in UK at the dance, the Taylor Swift themed dance thing by everybody there. So this influential influencer, whatever, high views and everything else, big following, posted out sitting there saying that it was basically a Muslim, a terrorist that came in and was killed. It was an illegal immigrant. I think it was an illegal immigrant was the one that came in and supposedly killed these three girls and injured all those other people. When in actuality, it wasn't. It was a local that did it, that had a previous. It was a 17-year-old. They actually had to go through Congress to do an emergency order to release the act of releasing minors' names, so that they could release this name and show that it wasn't what this influencer posted online.
Yep.
And
yeah, that's what I heard too. Yeah.
So the fact of the matter, that's the reason why the UK is doing what they're doing. I know the United States today just issued a travel ban going to the UK because of everything that's going on right now. And for the fact of the matter is that there's certain things that you can't connect to via the web because of them blacking out certain websites for out of the country. So there's a lot of things you're going to not be able to see in the UK right now. And if you guys are in the UK, be very, very careful. But yeah, the unrest was fueled by a false rumor that the stabbing incident in Southport would led to an anti-immigrant and an anti-Muslim protest.
What is it that we're looking at right now? What was that thing?
Well, that's the mayor of London.
No, I was looking at a timer with like an ad blocker thing.
I don't know. Oh, that was probably my homepage. The UK government scouring social media to arrest people for sharing harmful riot footage regardless of intent. So this is one thing that has fucking Fox. I don't know why you can't get on anything now. Making you go behind the
sued, man. They owe a lot of money. They got to put everything in a paywall now.
Where is it on it? Oh well.
You know I'm right.
What? Paywall? No, they've always been a paywall. If you stay on their website too long, it automatically kicks over to a paywall. They're not really a paywall. They just want you to log. They just want you to sign up. It's free. They want your information. But the arrest based on the existing UK's law against the hate, or let's see, blah blah blah. So I was trying to see where. Here, the Guardian will let me. The Guardian will let me. So Chester woman, 55 arrest. That's not it either. Oh, we'll get to that one, but that's not the one I was wanting. Oh my God, where'd it go? I had this all set up and I can't find it. I think I
It's
accidentally
got AI
closed out.
moderation now.
Huh?
Kick has got AI moderation now.
It's gonna be just like Twitch. It's gonna ban everything. I mean, at least they're trying. This is like I told Joker. At least they're trying. Anyways, so the whole thing is I was trying to find some information about the dude's name and stuff like that. See if it'll give it to me. Because I know he was 17 years old, and I know they had to do like an emergency order to release the I don't like CNN, but we'll go to CNN. So it says here, boy 17 charged of murder, 3 young girls in Southport attack. So this is what started all off. The rumor from this influential Twitter person literally incited all these other different groups to come out and riot because they thought it was an immigrant that did it. So a teenage boy has been charged with murder of 3 young girls killed in a stabbing accident in a dance class in Northwest England on Monday. British BB King, the 6, 7, and 9-year-old were stabbed to death while attending a Taylor Swift themed class in town of Southport. And I think there was like 10 other, there's 10 others that were injured. So 8 other children suffered stab wounds in the attack. 5 of them are critical condition. Police said 2 adults also remain in critical condition after being injured in the attack. Merseyside police said Wednesday they had charged a 17-year-old boy from a nearby village of Banks. So it was a local that did this, not what the dude on the social media post created. So basically, I think they got him and they arrested him for inciting a riot or trying to. But I think they're trying to get him for inciting violence, which I can understand that. But that's what that's what we were talking about the other night, about so much misinformation, so much stuff that people just throw out here on these platforms and create. Because I mean, it doesn't matter. You know, we talk about this a lot, like with content creators and stuff like that. You have a big influential following. Influential means those people will probably. I mean, look at Taylor Swift. Her Swifties are so influential, or such an influential following to her, that they literally went after her ex-producer and his family when they found out that her masters were being sold, just by a comment that she made on a live or a Instagram, I think, post, sitting there saying that he can't believe that he sold them out from underneath me or something like that. Well, that triggered all of these Swifties. And then you had the radical Swifties that are in there, that they went after him and his family and threatened to kill him if he didn't give her the masters back. So that's what I'm saying. You hold a lot of power, and I think there's a lot of creators that don't need to be on these platforms and don't need to be influencing people, because of the fact of the matter, they have so many followers, they have so much power, and there's so many people that look up to their influence. And a lot of times they will fall on a sword for them, you know, which I think is crazy, because I have a lot of people that I like watching, but I will never fall on a sword for any of them. And I will never do anything illegal for any of them. But the matter of fact is, like, this one guy started this, and with his following, you know, it's just like a chain. It was just like a rumor chain kept going. You know, it's just like we talked about the telephone game. It's just like one person says it, the next 3 persons probably get it right, but the 4th person's going to add their own take in on it, and it's just going to keep going until it doesn't even resemble what the original post was about. So I can understand why the UK is doing what they're doing. I think they're going a little overboard on a lot of things. And I think they are kind of teeter-tottering on the idea of limiting free speech. But I do believe the misinformation, the incitement of potential riots or anything else, we see it every day. I mean, if you guys are on political Twitter or political X, and you see this every day, you see both sides. I have both sides on my posts, and I see both sides daily bashing each other back and forth, creating information. I mean, it's just like now with the whole Kamala thing and Trump thing. You're seeing so much bullshit and AI generated stuff to make the other person look bigger. And you're seeing so much false information from a lot of people. You're seeing, it's one thing that people are getting pissed off about Trump right now is because he's playing identity politics and he's creating, he's falling away from what is supposed to be. He's falling away from the topics and he's becoming more revengeful in his tweets and stuff like that. And people are getting sick of it and they want him to turn back around and actually do something. But I think it's the reason why, like Joe Rogan, sit there and said that, that's the one. We'll get into that in a little bit later. There's a whole thing with Joe Rogan and RFK Jr. and stuff like that, but not to get off thing. But anyway, so this happened in the UK, in London. And so now there's all these people that were taking videos of the riots, were taking photos of the riots, and we're posting online and sitting there basically telling people, this is what we're doing. You need to do it. You need to get down here. You need to help. It's kind of like the whole thing with like our Israel and pro-Palestine riots or protests that we had down here. They were using social media to feed the frenzy of both sides to where they were causing mass hysteria and stuff like that. And all these different people to come down to these riot locations or these protest locations. And same thing with like all the riots or the protests that they were happening at certain Capitol Hills where they're vandalizing and everything else. You don't understand. You might have probably 75% of those that are actually down there for actually protesting, but the other 25% are going to be the ones that are going to be causing the damaging and creating havoc and chaos. So that's what happened down here. You had people going down to the police department. They actually lit on fire one of the police departments. They rioted the police department. They rioted the streets, and they were just totally going nuts because all these different posts coming out and all these different.
Yeah. I mean, they injured 15 police officers.
Yeah. So, like I said, people don't understand how bad or how influential you are. That just by posting one thing on X, Instagram, whatever on social media, how strong that can resonate with somebody else that you have never met. So that's why I'm saying you got to be very, very careful about what you say, because even though you might not mean that when you're saying it, but people could take it kind of like the whole Taylor Swift and what's his name, I don't think she was meaning for it to go as far as it did, but she never put a stop to it either. She never come out and said, hey, quit. So, I mean, she's as guilty as her Swifties. And sorry, Swifties, but that's the way I feel.
My God. Hey, I'm making a cup of coffee with that, so I'm not in the picture.
Damn, you just got back like 5 minutes ago.
I drank it all, man.
Need a carry. But no, that's what I'm saying. You guys are very, very influential what you do. So be careful how you talk. Be careful what you say, because I'm going to say it why he's not here. Because if the current administration that, if one half of the current administration that is talking about basically the same thing that UK is talking about doing gets into power, we do have the opportunity of losing our free speech. Because it will be under government control. I mean, there's a possibility. I'm not going to say there will. I'm going to say there's a possibility that it could be under government control to where you are monitored, and if you say anything that is remotely, so basically all your kick streamers that do the shit that you do, like with the like the Ice Poseidon Adventures and stuff like that, it's going to affect you if certain people get in office, you know, and if they install those policies, because it's going to be inciting. They're going to classify as inciting riots. They're trying to get these platforms to be held responsible for the creators. You know, there's already a law. It didn't pass, but there was already a law in place, if y'all didn't know, that was going to make the platforms responsible for anything the creators did on them. Because right now they're not responsible because they're not a publisher. You know, they're a platform. They're not a publisher. So that's the only thing that's a fine line that's keeping them, these platforms, for not getting in trouble. X is not a publisher. They're a platform. YouTube is not a publisher. They're a platform. Kick is not a publisher. They're a platform. So that determines their legalities, what happens when people on these platforms do things. So people like on Kick with Vitali and a lot of these other ones, like, you know, Ice Poseidon and all of them, just to throw them out there, Action Man, all those all those people that do that kind of nutsy stuff on stream. That's the reason why Kick and all of them allowed to happen. But it's the fact of the matter, because the platforms know they're free of any harm. I mean, if you guys remember, it's like back, what was it, 2-3 years ago, where the dude on Twitch, down in Buffalo, New York, went and shot up the supermarket live on his Twitch stream. You know, so many people try to come back on Twitch and try to sue Twitch, but because they are a platform and not a publisher, they were not liable for what he did. So that could all change if this certain administration comes into play. But like I said, the main thing that's happening now is with the UK, and which is kind of scary, because like I said, you need to pay attention to this as a content creator and everything else. Sorry, my dogs, every time somebody moves in the house, they bark. But no, like I said, if what's happening in the UK could possibly happen over here, and even worse, because I mean, it's already been tried over here once. Obama tried to put, what we'll get into this a little bit later, a little bit after this, but Obama tried to put in everybody was dubbing as the internet kill switch. You know, I mean, there is an act that was established during World War II, during Pearl Harbor, that Roosevelt put in place, that created an emergency act that could basically, under what the president or the governing bodies would classify as an emergency, kind of like what Gunn was talking about, what happened with the seizing of the bank accounts, except for it could literally shut down the internet or portions of it, to where, and that's what a lot of these countries do. I mean, that's kind of what UK is doing now. They're implementing their Online Safety Act, which is not actually fully in law yet until after January, but they're fighting right now in their parliament to get it pushed to where they can get it enacted now. And if that happens, then they will have an internet kill switch. They will literally be able to block certain aspects of websites like X, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. The UK will not be able to broadcast over those. And you can't right now. They are going through this dude here. It took me a while to realize who he was, but this is the mayor of London. Urged the government to revisit new social media rules, saying the disorder in the last week shows regulations due to come in force are not fit for purpose. New regulations, social media platforms, the Online Safety Act, which became law in the UK last year, but has not fully come into effect. Once in place, it will require platforms to take robust actions against illegal content activity, including around offenses such as inciting violence, which I agree with that. I do agree with all platforms should already, just as a common morality of the platform, should automatically have those policies as part of their terms of service, which I think most of them do. But do they uphold it? I mean, I know X does, because if you do something that, like I said, I got not really striked, but I got emailed as a warning when I said something about a water cannon on one of my posts during the protest. You know, I got an email sitting there saying this post is going to be throttled. It's not going to go out any further than what it did. You know, you don't have to delete it. We're not going to remove it, but it's not going to be seen. You know, so it's kind of crazy they have that capability, but it's a good thing. But so this Online Safety Act is basically going to do that. They're going to basically force these platforms into taking action. And if they don't, then the UK will take legal action. But I can see that. Like I said, that should be automatically. If you have somebody out there causing mass hysteria and inciting any type of riots or inciting people, because we're all, anybody that's on these platforms are influencers. Even though we might not big, but I know there might be a couple of people that like watching us, and I don't think they'll fall on the sword for us, but I mean, they like us. They like coming back and watching us, even though we argue like we're a married couple. But the fact of the matter is that these companies will start being held liable. And if we, like I said, if we get a certain team into the leadership role of presidency, into this presidency, there's a good chance that what Obama's policy was about creating a kill switch is a possibility to come here. I'm not against it, but I think the policies need to be something that is a realistic term and not just a revengeful tactic. But because, like I said, we already have basically what an Online Safety Act is. We can shut down portions of the presidency under an executive order, and I think it has to go through the House and the Senate just like everything else. I don't think it can be an executive order. I think it actually has to go through Congress to be able to put that act in place.
What do you think happens in Canada, man? What is your knowledge?
You have that one bill that restricts your internet to certain things.
I was just looking that up, man. Right? What does Bill C-13, the internet thing, do?
Doesn't it restrict because of ads?
No. I'll tell you exactly.
Because of ad revenue? Because Canada didn't feel like they were getting their fair share of ad revenue?
No, so what it does is it protects Canadians from most of the internet market, like, because
ads.
No,
money, revenue.
I gotta find that website that I was looking at.
And like you, I remember when we talked about this. We've talked about this several times.
Yeah, but you're getting it wrong. That's what.
Oh, okay. It's not about money then.
It's not about money. It helps me. What it does is it assures me that they're not going to change the algorithm, so that like my stuff or your stuff, like if you were Canadian and it was your stuff, that we have a better chance of actually getting seen on Facebook, on X, on all these. It just.
I know, but I think it's stemmed. I mean, that might be the policy, but I think it stemmed off the fact because Canada was not getting the due process of getting certain ad revenue from different.
Oh, here, I found it. Here we go. I found it. Oh, okay. Here's some legitimate fucking things. Okay, that people have myths about with this thing. Okay, Bill C-13 will make it illegal to sell cable signals. That's a myth. Fact: it is already illegal to sell cable signals or to possess a device to obtain a telecommunication service without payment. this is behavior is prohibited in our criminal code. So, what the fuck are you talking about? You know. Here's another myth. Bill C-13 is trying to hide controversial elements from BC 30 in the initiative to address cyberbullying. BC 13 proposes updates to investigative tools that will enable police to respond more effectively to crimes using modern technology.
Chat, what does that say?
Streaming giant ordered by Canadian regulator to pay more local movie and for more local movie and TV content. And
the first time rules and regulations of American digital platforms is expected to direct $200 million a year into Canadian video and audio programming.
And
it's about money. That's what I said.
I'm not disagreeing.
You did disagree with me. You told me no, that's not it. You were wrong.
No. I'm telling you a lot of the myths that people have had on this, that it's like a control thing.
It says the ruling from the CRTC, the county's TV and telecommunication regulator, follows Canadian Bill C1 or C11 or Online Streaming Act, came into law 22, imposed first-time rules and regulations for foreign streaming platforms like Netflix, Spotify, and Disney operating north of the border. The foreign digital platform revenues will go into range.
You said C11, right? You said C11, right?
That's what we're talking about, right?
No, I'm talking about C13, which is the one that everybody thinks is where the governments can control what we see.
Oh, you keep calling it C11. That's why I didn't.
No, it's Bill C.
Well, it might be C13, but you said C11. Because that's the one we always talk about is your. But it does say, yes, Canada and the United States can experience different content on the internet due to several factors, including differences in media regulations, censorship, and content availability.
Where are you reading that?
This is one of the primary differences between the internet experiences in Canada and the U.S. is related to streaming services, which is what we just went over. Canada has a specific regulations that affect the internet experience, such as the Online Streaming Act, which is Bill C-11, which requires foreign and streaming platforms to contribute local content production.
What is wrong with that? It's like turning around and saying, hey, as Canadian, we have Canadian content creators that are like that you have to put on your services. Like, highlight them.
I didn't say there was anything wrong with it.
Oh, okay. But like what I was actually what I was talking about was the bill that up here in Canada, everybody thinks is to control Canadians and filtered down in your country that this Bill C-13 was going to be controlling Canadians.
13 or 15?
13. Because there's even a myth in here where it says that, BC-13 is adding new surveillance powers, which will be inevitably result in an increase of tracking Canadians or the interceptive of their communications. In fact, BC-13 would reclassify certain powers and fix gaps in the investigative tools for the criminal code, seeks update existing powers of criminal code related statutes that ensure that our laws respond to the challenges of combating crime in the 21st century, balanced with the appropriate accountability and safeguard mechanisms. Produce orders of transfer data. Further, transfer data and specific communications can be included in the bill as new categories. These orders would adopt a judicial authoritative threshold that is consistent with the existing specific production order powers.
Oh wow! Because when I look at Bill C-13 here, it says this is an act to amend Official Language Act to enact the use of French in the federally regulated Private Business Act and to make related amendments to other acts. That's what Bill C-13 says on my end.
What the fuck?
Has nothing what you said. This is all about language.
I am reading.
You sure it's
that
not
from
C-70?
the official? No, I am reading that from our official Canadian government website. They break it down for us because they have to. right? So then they listen on social media to all the myths, and then they tell you the fact.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And we have what CRTC, and CRTC can't even censor. Well, they can censor what's what parents around Canada agree on. You know,
See?
like a Nelson thing.
BC 13, Parliament enacts the use of French and federally regulated private business act.
What the fuck?
I don't know what you're reading. This is on June 20, 2023, Bill C-13, which makes several changes in strength to protect and promote the French language.
You might be looking at Quebec, because you got to remember something. Quebec has got their own government, sir. So they possibly could have a BC 13 in their parliament that is ensuring that we speak, or
See, you
that
think
I
we're
have.
confusing.
No. I'm just saying that they may have a bill as in referring to people learning or me having French on all my signs with English. Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. You think we're confusing.
And I think this is to ensure that a private business has at least somebody that knows how to speak French. That way, if somebody
So we
from
got
Montreal
so every province has their own bills. That is fucking confusing as hell if you're trying to go into Canada. Well, no, this one here.
Quebec,
so there,
no. Quebec has their own currency, but they use Canadian currency.
I'm not talking about dollar bills. I'm talking about bills.
Oh yeah, these. Yeah. Well, I thought, hey man, sorry, a bill up here is a fucking dollar bill.
You just called this a bill.
I call this fucking bullshit.
You said it was Bill C-13 or C-13.
Oh my god, Rebel. You drive me crazy sometimes.
No, you do, because I...
BC 13.
Yeah, B stands for Bill. Doesn't it?
Yeah. Canada.
Whoops. Don't you dare start flinging that bottle or that pan around. She's out of water. She's over here scratching at the bottom, thinking she's going to dig for water. Don't you do it.
Which is fuck, I hate you, Google.
I don't know. When I did all of them, it just sits there and it says BC 13 still relies to the French as the official language.
Oh, you're right, sir. My apologies. It was B11 or C11 that you're talking about. My apologies.
Oh my freaking God, chat.
Hey man, you know what?
Oh my Lord.
It's my weekend. Give me a break. I just worked all week, so.
And you wonder why I have a headache when I get done with this show.
Do you get a headache from the show?
Sometimes when shit like this happens, we've been arguing for the last 20 minutes over a bill that I was right about to start with.
Well, I apologize, man. And you know it's sincere because I didn't say sorry.
So, I mean, it was over that. I mean, the reason why it was implemented was the fact of because Canada wasn't getting their fair share of revenue. Now, it might be everything else, but it was all about money.
I haven't seen any change. I really haven't, to be honest with you. I really haven't.
Well, it just got enacted. You probably won't see it unless somebody actually asks about it. It probably will never come up. But no, I mean, so back to this whole thing about the Online Safety Act. The fact of the matter is like, yes, social media is a strong, especially nowadays, social media is such a strong tool. I mean, it is like scary strong. I mean, just for the fact that you can put a tweet out and incite a riot in a country, and you can do it here too, because it's been done here too. The whole George Floyd incident and stuff like that, a lot of that was incited over social media.
Kai created a
Yeah.
fucking frenzy in New York Square.
He actually got charged with inciting a riot for that post.
Yeah. I wonder how much he had to pay for that
It
one.
was like $4,000.
Really? That's it?
Yeah.
Oh my God. They could have fucking gotten
but
some more.
But you basically do the exact same thing the January 6th people do, and some of those, one of them just got sentenced to 20 years. But no, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of power behind a post. It's crazy that we're in this type of a generation. I mean, I'm not. I mean, you couldn't incite me from a post other than maybe to go down to the store and buy something that's on sale that I use.
Fucking toilet paper.
Yeah. or if I see a you know, a post like for my pods and stuff like that, if they're like 2 for 1, fuck yeah, because they're $10 a box, I'll go down and buy 2 for 1. Hell yeah.
I mean,
You
if
know?
all of a sudden a picture of a fucking mushroom cloud showed up on my phone telling me that it was the end of the world, I'd fucking buy toilet paper. That'd be
Yeah.
the first fucking thing I think of. And then hide in my
'cause you're not
basement
gonna- you're-
and just
you're
hope
not-
the fuck.
You're not
that
going to
it
want to
survived.
wipe with the leaves out there in the radioactive world. So you want some fresh toilet paper, some quilted or
fucking-
northern soft on your butt.
Fucking come out 2 years later with a fascination about eating toilet paper because you forgot to buy food.
Well, you know that's the
Honey,
reason.
I got
you know
all
that's
this
the reason.
toilet paper.
Well, you know that's the reason why we had such a toilet paper shortage, right? Because of a post
Yeah.
that you know, that somebody had posted. Like, it was like an old post somebody drug up. It wasn't even for the current time. It was like from way back when, like 2 years prior to everything happening.
Yeah.
And so it's crazy. That just goes to show how strong social media and the internet is. I mean, it now I can understand why, you know, everybody back when the internet was first starting, that, you know, we all said it was going to be a fad, that when it started hanging around, it's like, oh my God, you know, we seen the possibilities of it, that it could be dangerous. And now look at it. Now it's dangerous.
Okay, like as I was growing up, I looked at the internet as like an encyclopedia of information. And at the time, you gotta like, because we started it, you would hope that it was all true, right?
Yeah.
Other than the porn and the mediums that you would see, you know. And then we started trading with each other, trading information with each other originally. You know, that, I mean, that's where Napster came about. You know, and most of the things that we traded were music.
Yeah.
You know,
Torrents, BitTorrents, you know, you
Or
download,
movies, movies.
you know, movies and software, and, you know, I'm not going to lie. It's like a lot of, when I first started out, like, and stuff, there was a lot, because you can't do it now. You can't hack like Adobe and stuff like that.
What the internet did expose is a lot of fucking creepy fucking individuals out in the world. But it also created a phenomenon that still exists to this day, is people creating a persona of themselves that isn't real, which would be referred to as catfishing.
Yeah.
And
You keep talking about that. I'll be right back.
Yeah, man. A lot of people have forgotten about catfishing these days. It's not even a term anymore. If it is, and you're a Gen Z, please tell me what new term that they use. Because, like, individuals making up stories about who they are, I know still exists to this day, and probably with a bunch of alt accounts, not just one these days, because it's too easy to make an email these days. I still have my email from 2005. Like, I literally have had the same email all my life. Well, as long as the internet's been born. Or I needed to have an email. Who do we got here? Who are we watching? everybody, I enjoy doing this stream with him, though that it seems like he's trolling me and I'm trolling him. It's exactly what I know the limits of my intelligence, but I'm also one to fuck up shit once in a while because I partake in marijuana. He partakes in alcohol. And this is the first time I've seen his belly.
Yeah, it's gotten bigger over the last few months.
I
For
got
the
a
last few
belly.
weeks.
Yesterday, today when I was on the bus driving home, I was put my head down, right? Because I kind of closed my eyes, take a little nap on the bus, right? And I looked down and I was like, holy fuck, man.
Yeah, I know. That's what I told my wife today. Is like, I got to start doing something. I've been sitting at this desk for a month now. And I got to start doing something.
I'm a pretty fit dude, man. Despite that I'm chunky on the waist is a good thing for me at this point in time in life.
But
I'd be scared if I looked like my dad. My dad is like dirt thin. It's weird. And he's still alive walking around.
But no, like I said, I mean, the internet's a powerful thing. And I mean, and that's what the UK is coming out and trying to say is that it's they're not wanting to, they really don't. They don't want to like shut it down, but they want these platforms to be accountable. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've already called out Elon sitting there saying that he was an enemy of the state basically now because he's not doing anything about shutting down a lot of these posts that are posting the pictures and everything else. I know, because I think actually, there's been, and again, false information, misinformation, because I fall into it. Everybody does. Everybody falls into it because it looks official when you see certain things. This is like somebody posted like, oh, the UK government was banned off of Twitter or off of X. When come to find out, it wasn't the actual account. It was another account that had similar letters to the government, the UK government, but there was one that got banned off of it, but it wasn't the actual UK government that got banned off of X. So that's why I'm saying you got to be careful what you see and read, because of the fact of the matter that you could be spreading false information and stuff like that by reposting that. I mean, that is basically spreading false information. When you're seeing stupid things, like we're seeing it through the elections right now. I see it constantly. People are trying to pass off AI generated photos as actually photos of one of the candidate or the other candidate, of what's going on right now. A lot of that's misinformation, misleading. And they're doing it for the simple fact is to try to sway people's opinions to one way or the other. It's the reason why I think, I hate to say it, but I think most of our elections are going to be run off of and won off of social media. I don't think I think the whole ideas of future debates and everything else, I think it's going to be held off of social media. I don't think it's going to be a one-on-one anymore. I think we've come to the point now. I think we're so far gone with social media, so addicted to it. I'm not going to lie. I'm not addicted, but I do pay attention to it a lot more than what I used to. Especially doing these shows, because I'm constantly looking for updates on certain situations, what's going on and everything else. So, it's part of my job per se, even though I'm not getting paid right now, which X, you still need to give me my sub buttons. That's been sitting in limbo for almost a year now. But the fact of the matter is, it's like people are using, especially X, because it's easy. It's not easy, but it can be easy if you have the following to get monetized and make some decent money off of posting on X. All you got to do is just shit post. You can shit post all day long. And if you've got the engagement rate and you keep the engagement rate up, you get paid through ad revenue, which I don't understand how that's happening now, since if you're a plus member or a premium member, that you don't see ads on your page. So I don't know how that's going to literally work for other creators that are relying on the ad revenue if 80% of X is a premium member and you're not going to see these ads. So I can see ad revenue slowly dropping. So that might change the way things are happening on X. You might see a slowdown if that's the case. But, you know, you still have, because even with the sub button, I don't see a lot of people subscribing to these websites. I mean, we do have a tip function. If you want to tip us, you can hit the little right up there to the top. There's a little tab. You can hit that and send a tip to us. I mean, I've had that since the day I started X. It's part of anybody has the tip function. But the fact of the matter is that the internet and social medias they're gotten out of hand. I'm not going to lie. All platforms have gotten out of hand. Streaming platforms. I know YouTube, like I said, if they lose that loss, if they lose that appeal on that conversation we had the other night about the Supreme Court coming down and sitting, or not the Supreme Court, but the injunction sitting there saying that they were found to be in violation of the Sherman Act, which is the Monopoly Act. Then if they lose, one of the things is they might have to split up all of their platforms so they're not all in one place. And X is kind of heading that way too, because that was the whole dream of Elon, is to make this a one-stop shop. You know, you can already do that. I mean, you can call people from the app from your phone, and you can you can basically do everything on here except for banking, which I know he's trying to make that possibility too. You know, so he's treading on that fine line too that Google had just, that Google had just went through with the Sherman Act, the Antitrust Act, that he could possibly be in that same predicament if he makes it an all-in-one type site, because he handles advertisers and everything else, you know. And he's also got a lawsuit going on with a lot of the major advertising platforms because they're throttling back ads on these platforms and I think that's kind of the reason why he did what he did with the whole Plus and everything else. I think that's his retaliation to the advertisers. And so if you're paying for premium, you don't see ads. Kind of like what Twitch did with subs, you know, back when they first came out with the sub button. If you paid for a sub, you didn't see ads, but you still see ads now, even though you're a sub. You just don't see them as often. And I don't think they're the intrusive ads. I think they're the little banner pop-up ads on the side now or underneath. But so, I mean, and I think, like I said, I think that's the whole thing. Maybe that's his idea of making premium and plus ad free, is the fact of the matter. Maybe to get back at these advertisers, and they're saying, okay, if you're going to throttle back, you know, the amount of advertising that you put on these platforms, or whatever the case of me, I'm still reading in on that whole thing. But
I don't know what you're talking about, because I can't fucking stream on X right now because I'm not a premium fucking super pass fucking member of fucking X, and you can't even fucking, what was it? You can't gift any because they're asking for a yearly subscription. Fucking gifted subscription. Like, geez, man.
Well,
how much is that? How much is that? Like, I
don't know, Canadian. I don't know. Here it's like, well, it's whatever, $9.99 plus 12 is like $100 and some.
Holy fucking wow.
But the fact of the matter is that, it's the ad revenue that's causing this. I'm not going to lie. It's like people found it. I mean, because X used to not be, you know, when it was Twitter, it wasn't like that. You had to literally be a part of the creator program and it took an immense amount of time to get that verification badge. I mean, even though the blue badge right now just means that you're paying for it. It's kind of like the sub button on Twitch. It just means you're paying for it. It doesn't mean anything else. Now, if you have an ID verified, this channel is ID verified. That way nobody can steal it. Because if anybody sits there and tries to, you know, for some ungodly reason wants to mimic this channel and copy and paste it, all I have to do, because the ID verification doesn't go with it. So if somebody tries to smurf this account, and I can always sit there and say, that's not mine, I'm ID verified. So that's why it's a good thing to ID verify your accounts if you are a premium member or a plus member, because of the fact is, if somebody tries to smurf it, you have backing sitting there saying, no, I own this channel. It's my channel, not theirs.
Give me one moment. please.
Mm-hmm. But so getting that, using, I think, like I said, I think with monetizing X, I think it opened up the door to even more ability of misinformation and false information, for the fact, because people teeter on that fine line. They used to call it back in the day, it almost teeters on the line of yellow journalism. I mean, when you think about it, which is outlawed here in the United States, but the press and everything else slither across that fine line every time they post something, because they're just barely touching that line. But it's just kind of crazy. But no, like I said, I can see UK's point in the whole matter, because what that one post did incite a major catastrophe, created a whole bunch of chaos, burning down buildings, causing more damage to the streets, to the point to where it was actually injuring people that had nothing to do with it. And now they're going out and they're finding people that are posting videos. So that's what I'm saying. If you have footage of the UK riots that are going on right now, I would probably, I'm saying right now, as a form of be careful, don't repost any of it. Because even if you repost a lot of it, the UK is trying to get away to where they're trying to make us over here in the States liable for it. And they said that, I mean, there was even one, it was totally fucking crazy when I heard this, and this is what made me want to talk about this tonight, is the fact of the matter that they, see if I can find the tweet. My browsers and shit are running real slow.
I gotta be honest with you, man. I had a butter chicken samosa, which is like a meat pastry. It's like a triangle shape kind of thing.
Oh, I thought I was gonna say we have mimosas down here, but that's a coffee.
And this thing was fucking spicy. Holy fuck.
But so this is kind of what the Metropolitan Police Commissioner, this Mark Rowley, he's basically saying he's threatening to extradite and imprison American citizens over online posts of these riots. So that's what I was saying, is like he's talking about like posting actual footage, reposting footage, or creating any type of misinformation about what's been going on with the riots. He's trying to impose extradition for people that do it, have them arrested, and it's like, okay, we kind of fought that in 1776 with y'all and we kind of won, so I don't think it's going to happen now. But there's a possibility that it might happen after January. We'll get into that a little bit later. But this is what he has to say.
We will throw the full force of the law at people. And whether you're in this country committing crimes on the streets or committing crimes from further afield online, we will come after you.
Talk to me about that, because we have seen some high-profile figures whipping up the hatred. You talked about it in there with the officers, in fact, about this being added to by online commentary. I mean, I'm even thinking of the likes of Elon Musk getting involved. What are you considering when it comes to dealing with people who are whipping up this kind of behaviour from behind a keyboard and maybe in a different country?
Being a keyboard warrior does not make you safe from the law. You can be guilty of offences of incitement, of stirring up racial hatred. There are numerous terrorist offences regarding the sort of publishing of material. All of those offences are in play if people are provoking hatred and violence on the streets, and we'll come after those individuals just as we will physically confront on the streets the thugs and the obs who are causing the problems for communities.
So, yeah. And
all they have to do is go to your government and be like, we're here because we're taking this person in.
Well,
custody.
they wouldn't be able to come over. They'd have to have the United States government and law enforcement take control of it over here.
But they can be there. They can be there
the
while
investigation and figure out before they could extradite over. There would have to be actually charges here first, I think, before it would actually
What
be
happened in
termed.
1776?
You don't know what happened in 1776? Seriously?
I'm not Canadian. Or I'm not American, so no, I don't.
The Revolutionary War.
Issued the Declaration of Independence, George Washington.
How do you not? That's the reason why everybody says, when everybody says about Trump being a convicted felon, that's the reason why people said we're all convicted felons. Because the colonial America, the founding fathers fought and were basically tyrants to British rule. We broke free from, I can't believe I'm doing American history lesson right here.
Well,
We
because
broke
I'm not American.
But you should know this. You've been around long enough. You should have
We
been
didn't
taught
learn
this in
this,
school.
No.
Well, then you didn't learn American history at all in school.
No, we learned about your presidents, and we learned, like.
You didn't learn. So how do you know?
Identify
Oh my God! So basically, 1776 is when we signed our declaration saying we were going to no longer be a part of British rule. We became the United States. We became tyrants of Britain because in Britain's eyes, we were convicted felons because we were tyrants against the British rule. The whole battle, the whole Revolutionary War, the
We're
battles.
talking like, what's that guy?
My Lord, George Washington.
Yeah, that's the dude. With the
Oh my
false
God,
teeth.
ladies and gentlemen, I am so sorry. But anyways, that's the whole thing, is just like, that's some of the comments that are being made, bring it on. But I'm not, don't do it. I mean, it's just not here. Just don't do it, period, because it's not good for you as a person, because we do have laws here in the United States that still protect that. Everybody thinks that free speech is free speech. It doesn't matter what you say or do. It's free speech. No, free speech, the First Amendment only protects to a certain point. If you create hate speech, you create violence. You basically, look at Kai. Kai is a good example. That was not free speech because he incited a riot, and I'm sure he probably tried to fight that, but that's not free speech. That is inciting a riot. All this stuff with all these, it's what kind of pissed me off about with all these protesters and everything else that we had, like during the George Floyd incident, during all these other protests. I mean, social media wasn't a thing back in the 60s when we had the civil rights movement riots and everything else, but there still was arrests made for inciting violence because they were handing out flyers. They were creating, door-to-door type protests, door-to-door type incitements. So there were arrests back then due to incitement of riots. But now it's a lot easier because somebody could sit behind the keyboard like we are now, just like he said, the keyboard warriors. And that's what I get irritated about. I mean, I know I personally don't have the ability. I don't have the speaking ability to go like and stand in front of Congress and say anything. I mean, I'm sure if I sit down for like a year and figured it out, I probably could, but that's not my cup of tea.
I'm scared even having this dude on our camera or like on our page here right now. I feel like the British police are going to come knocking on my fucking door.
He is the British police.
I know. And I'm Canadian. And I feel like
go
that,
get
that
him. He's
dude's
doing
gonna,
it.
Yeah,
We're live. We're live from his house in Canada. So come on up.
Oh, wow.
But no, I mean, you guys are all the same, so it doesn't matter. They ain't gonna come get you. But no, that's what I'm saying.
How to take that comment. We're all the same.
Y'all from the same area. Sooner, like y'all came from the same area. You're all ruled by the same king.
We're not ruled by him. We just got him printed
He still has a lot of influence on what you guys do, though.
Not at all.
No, okay. That might be an incitement of violence. Hey, I don't know his address, but I know where he lives. No, I'm just joking. But no, that's what I'm saying. I mean, there's still laws and regulations that keep you from this. That's why it irritates me. Like I see so many things. It's like on these streaming platforms like Kick and X or Twitch. You can't say it on YouTube as much because they will ban you for doing shit like that. It's kind of crazy. You have a platform like YouTube that will ban you for things. Twitch will ban you from things, but Kick will just allow you still to do whatever you want to do until you get mass reported. And then it depends on how big you are if you get actually taken off the air. But the fact of the matter is that be careful what you guys do on here, because if you guys are posting stuff, like I said, it goes back to like the whole super influencer type thing. Just keep in mind, like what I use the example of Taylor Swift all the time, because she's like one of the biggest influencers in the world right now, and not just the United States, in the world. And she has massive power over her Swifties. I mean, she could probably tell somebody tomorrow to go, hey, go do this. And I guarantee there would be a big crowd somewhere, you know. She could easily incite a riot, considering what she incited by, I mean, technically she incited the violence on her ex-manager. So by law, she should be held responsible for it. And the fact of the matter is that she never took responsibility for it. That's one of the things that kind of ended my likingness of Taylor Swift, is because of that whole incident. Because she never apologized or never told her fans to apologize for it. She just let it go because she was revengeful. But yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Careful, man. I'd be careful, man.
I ain't scared. Come after me, Swifties. I live in Manitoba, Canada. Come after me, Swifties.
Oh my God.
I'm in his basement. I'm in his basement.
Through his teeth.
I'm in his basement.
He's in Oklahoma, folks.
I moved to Manitoba. I live in your basement. But no, that's what I'm saying. The fact of the matter is, you got to be very, very careful. It says online safety not fit for purpose after far right riots. So, like I said, the main reason why is because of all of the crap that's being said and being. Oh, is this it? Is this the actual? So they're actually going, like I said, they're going after Elon. They basically called him an enemy of the state because he won't do anything. I mean, I've noticed I've seen some comments and stuff like that. He is taking down some posts in some channels that are involved in direct doing this. I don't know if it's true or not. Like I said, they're just posts. Like I said, I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying I saw where there was some things being taken down. It says Elon Musk shared fake Telegraph article claiming Keir Stem was considering a far right. This is. I don't know. I thought maybe that was the fake Telegraph article claiming Keir Starmer was considering sending far-right rioters to emergency detainment camps in the Falklands. So, I mean, this is something that, Elon put out there. The Telegraph, I don't know, that must be the newspaper. Says Musk deleted his post about 30 minutes, but the screenshot captured by political, well, let's see. Is this it? So Elon Musk deleted the post on his social media platform, which he spread fake news about the detainment camps being established in the Falkland Islands. The fake article, mocked up to mimic the Daily Telegraph newspaper style, had been shared on X by the co-leader of Britain's. But see, that's just it. That's what's happening. You got to be careful what you repost too. I like I said, I've been caught in that too. I've reposted shit and I've had to take it down because I found out later it was fake, So be careful what you're reposting, because you never know what is true. So that's what they're saying, is because he reposted something somebody else posted. They were trying to make him accountable for posting that, which, I mean, yeah, he reposted it, but he didn't create it. But such that he garnered nearly 2 million views before it was deleted. So see, there was 2 million people, 2 million views. That means 2 million people scrolled through Twitter Because every time you scroll through a post, anytime you hit a post and it comes full-fledged into your screen, it counts as an engagement. So that's how you get the views. But it says the Guardian contacted comment, blah, blah, blah. Thursday, Musk shared a Sky News interview in which Stephen Parkinson, the director of public prosecutions in England and Wales, said police officers were scouring social media for materials and inciting racial hatred. This is actually happening, Musk said in separate post to a refer from same clip. Musk called Parkinson the woke Stasi. Musk said he had been embroiled in a row with Stramer and British enforcement authorities since he claimed in response to the anti-immigration protests in England and Northern Ireland that civil war was inevitable. I did remember seeing that one. Was inevitable, and the police in response had been one-sided. So, I mean, yeah, so certain words, I mean, even things like that, you know, when you're sitting there saying, hey, you know, civil war imminent, you know, when you see some of these posts on X, because I know I saw a lot of them. I know Gunn saw a lot of them because we've talked about it. You know, do you think there's going to be a civil war because this person put this on X? But you got to be careful because some of these people are just doing it just for the engagement. There's literally one person that keeps popping up on my page. That's all he does. His entire page is nothing but engagement farming, even though it's technically against TOS on X now, but for some reason, he still got like 4 million followers or 1.5 million followers, and he always gets like 2 or 3 million hits on every post that he posts. But he does it just for engagement. So yeah, you just got to be very, very careful. Let's see.
Have you seen the footage of the cop that went up and got hoisted up to look on the roof?
Yeah.
And how quickly he responded by like running to his car and like using his mic.
Yeah, that's not looking good for the Secret Service. But no, like I said, the whole point of this conversation was the fact of the matter is just like, I know I'm not against, like I said, I don't think whoever we get in office right now is going to be totally.
Picture from this fucking picture looks like fucking. He should play a villain for James Bond. Holy jeez, Elon! What is that, man?
For some of the things that I've said, he's not somebody. I mean, just because he's the richest person in the world right now, it's because I think of his.
He's like looking.
He's got a lot of influence. Like I said, he's got a lot of influence all over the world, not just here.
That look is like, you obey me.
I mean, I'm sure it was probably when he was probably talking to Don Lemons, because him and Lemons, he looked that way the whole conversation through Lemons, because he sits there and he goes, the only reason why I did this interview with you is because you're on X. And he knows he's not on X anymore. But no, that's what I'm saying. You got to be very, very careful about what you repost and everything else. It's not just because of the UK thing going on, but if we do have a regime change, when we have our president change, we call it regime because it always feels like a regime to me. But when we have a change in leadership, I mean, it could go either way. Either one of them could be the internet czar, you know, if you want to talk about it. I mean, I know the one side, Harris's campaign has come out and sit there and said that they were going to start doing, you know, when they got elected, you know, one of the things was maybe controlling the way misinformation. I mean, that was came out of Waltz's mouth that, you know, free speech isn't always free speech. And I agree with that. And I do think that the platforms need to be held accountable for, but that's the reason why I don't let social media sway the way I feel about certain candidates. I never have. They make me think about them, but they don't make me sway which way or the other. I mean, like I said, I personally don't like Harris. I don't like Waltz. And I personally am starting to not like Trump just because of some of the things that he's, you know, starting to do.
Like his meltdown a couple days, was it yesterday?
Just everything.
Today?
I mean, his social media presence is worse than what it was when he was on social media.
it doesn't help that he has a meltdown right on. Like he calls reporters in for a fucking news conference and then has a meltdown.
Right. Oh, now they're calling for his mental stability check. It's like, yeah, okay. I mean, I can guarantee. I mean, I'm not sticking up for him, but you know, he had.
Meanwhile, Jim Carrey.
Yeah,
Jim Carrey's doing a phenomenal job as Biden.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
I don't know. Like I said, he did grow about a foot. You know, so they must have done something to him. But no, I guess
it's like one of those
lifts. Yeah, I know.
No,
they put lifts in his shoes.
Well, it could be lifts in his shoes, but I think that they put him in like a Ziploc bag, you know, like a air sealed bag. Yeah, I do.
Let him out.
I think that. Yeah, and then when they need him, then they unzip it, right? Kind of like Austin Powers, where he's like he wouldn't be holding his junk. He'd probably be fucking smiling.
be like on Men in Black with the main suit, with the Edgar suit.
Yeah.
But no, like I said, I mean, just be very, very careful. Like I said, the reason why is because of this man right here about what, like I said, Waltz, I'm not just talking, I mean, I could care less about the whole service thing that they've got up. I really don't care. That doesn't bother me, other than the fact of the matter that, you know, if it was true, you know, he did lie about it to get, you know, in a lot of positions that he's been through ever since he's been out. But the fact of the matter is, you know, his comment that he made that there is no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech. I do agree with that. Don't get me wrong. I do agree with that. There is no guarantee to free speech when it becomes from information and hate speech. But how are you going to classify? I mean, it's easy to classify hate speech, but how are you going to classify misinformation, and how are you going to handle it? Are you going to handle it the way the UK is handling it right now, by going out and arresting people for just posting? I mean, we've already done that. I mean, we've arrested people for posting negative stuff against Biden, you know, through Facebook. You know, there's been one guy was shot and killed, you know, when they went out to question him, even though, I mean, he did pull a shotgun. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, you know, 62-year-old man was shot and killed by DHS when they went out to investigate it. You know, and I mean, even though he was like anti-government and everything else.
Was that the dude with the pickup truck that had the Biden bound on the tailgate?
No, this was an old man that posted something on Facebook.
Oh.
He was like a 62-year-old, 72-year-old.
Do you remember that truck? Do you remember that truck where whatever happened to that dude?
Nobody heard it. I don't think anything ever happened. I think somebody just saw it on the. But anyways, this dude here sits there and says it's no guarantee for free speech, no on misinformation and hate speech. I mean, like I said, I believe that. I do. I believe the misinformation on social media has gone way fucking crazy. You know, and like I said, it's the point now to where you can't even do anything. You can't vote your conscience anymore, because the people that are blindsided by social media and are addicted to social media, they're going to follow those influencers. You know, that when you influence somebody, that doesn't mean that's the way they think. That's just the way that, I'm not going to lie, a lot of times they're weak. You know, they're weak-minded, and that's what they want to believe. They want to believe that is what's happening to them. And then when it turns around and it's not what ends up happening, then they complain, whine, and cry because, you know, it didn't go their way. What, nobody's fault but that person for believing it. So I'm saying, don't always believe what you see on social media. Don't fall into the whole social media trap of, yeah, this is the way to go. Always look at both sides of the things and have some common sense. Which, you know, like I said, a lot of people say, and I agree with them, common sense isn't a strong factor anymore when it comes to living. But yeah, I mean, so I'm all for, you know, trying to clean up misinformation. I'm all for trying to, you know, always all for making sure that hate speech is never said, you know, but who's going to determine that? Who's going to determine what is hate speech, who's going to determine what is misinformation, because you're going to have to have set guidelines. You're going to have laws put in place that actually don't just throw somebody in jail because of a post, you know, because I mean, it is, when you write something down, it is interpreted by the person that reads it. It's plain and simple. I mean, unless it's like a direct statement, which, you know, a couple of these people that have posted stuff online that he got arrested, it was a direct statement. But if you look at it, you know, look at all the ones that, you know, okay, so everybody that was like threatening Biden there in, you know, a few years ago, most of them got visited by Homeland Security, you know.
All the people that threatened Mike Pence and with a noose.
That's what I'm saying.
Them? Yeah, like
you have the people that threatened Mike Pence, you had people that threatened Trump, and nobody ever went after them. DHS never went to go see them, but you know, you go after Biden, we're going to send officers to your house. It was never, I mean, look at, what was that? Who was that redheaded comedian? She was the one that had the head of Trump, the severed head of Trump. Oh, what the hell was her name?
The picture, it was Barron holding his head.
No, it was her.
Kathy Lee Griffin.
Yeah, Kathy Griffin. That was her. She had a severed head of Trump. All she did was get suspended off of Twitter at that time for a little bit. But DHS never went to her house. You know? Nope, she never got any ramifications for that. But all these people that are, you know, that's what I'm saying. It's one-sided. So if you're going to make it a law, it's going to have to be, no matter who you are, whether if you're an influential entertainer, if you're, you know, Larry Finch of BlackRock or whatever, you're going to have it straight across the board, and that's never going to happen. You can put all these laws in place whatsoever, but we've already seen there's already laws that deal with hate speech, and it was all one-sided. So how are you going to make sure that if this is the way these two are wanting to create something, like I said, I'm all for it, but you're going to have to make it across all boards. You can't play favoritism to it. And I hopefully now, with everybody being awake and everything else, but then again, if the tides are turned and everybody, you know, this is the one, this side over here, the left is the one that's actually the devil reincarnated or whatever, however they put them, you know, and if they come into power and they do exactly what Gunn thought Trump was going to do, and try to make it a totalitarian government to where they are the main supreme ruler, you know, there's a good chance that could happen. It's not just Trump. These two are leaning heavy radical left, and they have more radical opinions than when it comes to certain things and the way they've done stuff through his administration, anyways, through governor and everything else. But like I said, I mean, both of them right now could do it. I'm not saying it. Both of them have the opportunity because they're both power hungry. But the fact of the matter is like, if they're going to do this, then you're going to have to make it to where you're going to have to make it out of their hands to where, I don't know. It's going to be difficult to do to where it's fair and just, and not just a revenge tactic, and not shutting down these platforms, and not shutting down and stepping on the First Amendment to the right of free speech. Because if you step on the right of free speech, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing right now. We couldn't talk freely about what we're talking about. So, I mean, if they take away that whole, if anybody, either side takes away the ability to do free speech, then, you know, that's when a whole nother story comes down. But, you know, going back to the whole thing, you know, back in 2010, when Obama, or was it 2000, when did he say that? I don't know, back in Obama's presidency, I can't remember exactly when. But I know there was a big rumor going around because I know Obama was talking about the whole free speech thing. You know, if you guys listen to the intro to this show every once in a while, I have a long form intro that is one of his speeches broken into what he did at Stanford on misinformation. And my opinion, the way I read into it is that, you know, he was basically telling everybody this is exactly what they do, because he was explaining how they basically destroy governments and destroy society by spreading misinformation. And we're seeing it. We're seeing it unfold right before our eyes. We're seeing the division. We're seeing the chaos that's erupting from it. And since we literally do have a kill switch that is in law. You know, we have an online safety act, or we have a safety act, communication safety act, that has been instilled since 1942. So this is where he was trying to bring that back and revamp it, because the old one is through telegraph, you know, because that was the only thing they had in 1942 was telegraph and television. So those are the only two telecommunications, was radio, telegraph, and television. Those are the only telecommunications they had back then. They didn't have the internet. So that policy would have to be rewritten to include the internet. But so under World War II era law, U.S. presidents appears to have authority to disconnect computer systems and sever and servers from the internet in the event of a national emergency. But the next U.S. Congress is poised to change that. This was back in Obama's day, not now. The law was passed in 1942. The Japanese attack Pearl Harbor had provoked fear and foreign invasion of U.S. soil. Congress responded by giving President Franklin Roosevelt broad power to commandeer or shutter telephone and telegraph networks. So basically, if he felt that there was something going on, he could do basically what these other countries are doing now, like with internet blackouts. You know, like what Ukraine did there for a while. They had an internet blackout when that was all going down, because there was so much information coming out of Ukraine into the U.S. saying there was nothing going on, so they shut down the internet service. That's when Elon moved Starlink over Ukraine, so that way people had internet service. Because the Ukrainian government shut down their internet service at the beginning, because we were getting all this footage from all these people from Ukraine saying there's nothing going on here, when we were getting reports from CNN and we were getting reports from all these other news stations saying there was bombing and shelling and everything else going on in these areas. And people were taking photos and video and sending it to TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that, saying there's nothing going on here. And then that's when Ukraine came in and killed the internet. And then Elon moved Starlink over. You're talking, I can't hear you. But no, like I said, I mean, so this law is still there. I think they would just have to rework it to include internet and social media. Now, do I think any government should have this capability? Yeah, and in a national emergency, I think internet blackouts are warranted. In a national emergency. That means if we are going to war, kind of like with the Ukraine thing, they didn't want things to be shared, not just for the fact of conspiracy theory, but just for the fact they didn't want like positions or anything else being shared. I can see the point of killing the internet.
I don't understand how you think that the Ukraine shut off their own internet when, like, I'm reading this thing where it says on February 24, 2022, one of the first acts of war Russia perpetrated was a cyber attack launched right before Russian troops entered Ukraine territory. This attack disabled the equipment used to connect
that could be
Visat satellite broadband internet network.
But all I'm saying
internet
is
access.
Yeah, maybe it was Russia that did it. I'm sorry. Maybe it was Russia that killed the internet. But you know, they still killed the internet for the fact of the matter, because they hit telecommunications first, so it would knock out all.
Right. Russian invaders began to target G4
YouTube
transmission units.
Prove me wrong. Okay. I'll put a pin in your hat. And then, but the fact of the matter is the reason why Elon moved Starlink over is that way everybody could. But like I said, I know that in the beginning, that was the reason why everybody thought was happening, is because they killed the internet because of all these videos coming out saying everything was false. You know, all these people that lived in those areas that were being shelled, that CNN and all of them were putting out saying there's nothing going on here. You know, and still to this day, there's still videos coming out in certain areas that are saying are being bombed in the Ukraine, that there's nothing going on. Whether I believe it or not, I don't. I didn't believe it back then, but I'm just saying that's what people were believing. But no, like I said, we have this law is there. Like I said, it never went away. It never got, you know, it's still there. We still have this law on the books. But like I said, the telecommunication services like telephone and telegraph have all, you know, disappeared. There's no hard lines hardly anymore. I don't think, I mean, I don't even know if you can get a hard line to your house anymore, to tell you the truth.
No, it's all IP even up here.
Yeah.
Like my cable goes up, my phone goes up.
Yeah.
I can't even call 911.
See, that's jacked up because down here you're required to have at least 911 access.
The only way I can call 911 is if I got a cell phone.
Oh no! So, I mean, that's one thing that was put into law once they did the whole voice over IP down here. Was in the beginning they didn't have 911, but by a certain time, I think they passed a law that you had to have 911 100%.
Well, no, like on our cell phones, and most
No,
people
I was
have
talking about
cell phones.
voice over IP, which is the internet phone. Because I know before you could call 911, they just couldn't. They couldn't.
I have cable internet, so I have a hardwired.
Yeah, so
phone.
do I.
But when my cable goes out,
It's not hardwired.
That phone is an IP number, so it's. I'm dialing my number, but then that number is dialing a different number. That's a computer number. That
it's called voice over IP.
Yeah, I know. What I'm saying though is that because of the system that we have here, if I don't pay my cable bill, if I pick up my phone, there's no dial tone, no nothing.
I know, that's what I'm saying down here. I said that's why it's screwed up, because down here, you're still required to have 911 capability.
Right. I get what you're meaning, but like I've got a cordless phone that don't do that. Fuck.
Well, I mean, yeah, but it's still not hardwire. It's a cable. It's an optic. Hardwire, I'm talking about the lines that ran out of the phone boxes. I mean, I still see phone boxes everywhere, but I think they've transferred most of those phone boxes into cable boxes. But no, it's just like
we have a payphone at the corner of our street.
All of ours are gone.
Yeah, hold on. Okay, so we got a payphone over at the corner of one of our streets. When you walk up to it, it says not available.
Oh,
it's like, why the fuck is it there?
See, we had a gas station down here that had the last remaining payphone. It had it there for like
somebody's gonna go
5 or 6 years.
That phone, thinking he's getting mugged, and grabbed it and be like, "Oh fuck!"
It was outside this gas station for like 5-6 years after I moved here. Then they finally tore it out. I asked the guys, "Why'd you guys tear that phone out?" It was cool just to be able to have that, see it and explain to them what we used to use.
I think that every store should have one of those cell phones that has a cable to it.
So
you can't steal it.
Yeah,
and then it's like you can FaceTime. It's the only thing that you can do is just FaceTime.
But no, I mean, yeah, I mean that's just it, So they even said it back then that there need to be clear-cut rules. And I think it's a reason why that it never went through on Obama's watch. Is the fact of the matter is they couldn't come up with clear-cut rules on how to determine how to do it, because they didn't want to give. Because if you give the president emergency powers, then they would have to limit what kind of powers that he would be able to have. I mean, so if we went into
what if it's an asteroid coming down to Earth? Wouldn't you want him to be able to have the power to take over the airwaves, to be able to dictate, "Hey, look, everybody."
Oh, they already have that.
But that's, I think, what they're trying to revise is because of...
No, we already have that. We already have the presidential alert system on our phone.
Yeah, we have the same thing up here. If, like an emergency broadcast will happen on the
which
phone.
I have mine shut off, but I have all those. Yeah, I have all those alerts turned off. Yeah, I have an iPhone.
Running on the wild, man. That's what he's doing.
No,
if there's a bomb coming his way, he don't want to know.
No, really don't. I mean, can't run from it. I mean, what's it gonna do to run from it? Are you gonna? I mean, I think it'd be
zombie horde is on his way. He don't want to know.
They can take me. I don't care. Make me a zombie.
Yeah,
but no,
as
it's
long as you show up on fucking Mondays and Wednesdays and fucking Fridays.
We wouldn't have internet no more because he'd have killed the switch. No, that's what I'm saying though. It's just like I can see like for. I mean, okay, so it's just like when I used to work communications, we had a way to take over the airwaves. You know, we could take over the airwaves in our district. You know, all we had to do was press a button and it would literally take over, it would make every radio, you know, every police band radio and stuff like that. They couldn't use them until we got off the channel. But that was for the fact of, so we could keep a clear open channel for communication purposes that we don't need relayed back to us. All we do is need an open channel for us to relay information to the responders. But yeah, we had that switch to be able to shut down all radio broadcasts and stuff like that, or interrupt radio broadcast. We could interrupt local television channels, you know, in our comm center when we do like emergency alerts and stuff like that. We had a switch in the back that we flipped and connected to all the local channels to where we interrupted the channel and we took over the broadcast channel. But that was, we could only use those for, you know, like tornado warnings and tornado watches and everything, you know, things like that. We couldn't use it just to play around with. Civil defense, that's what it was, the civil defense system. Well, this is where this was stemmed from. Most of these counties and most of these states in the United States have the civil defense system, which this was stemmed from. To where they already have the ability to take over the current airwaves, not the internet, but they could take over broadcast stations like TV and radio. But that runs on a different thing. Internet runs off of basically satellite and cable, you know, or fiber optics. But to have that type of power to be able to kill, you know, like in the sense of the riots over here in the UK, you know, if they have that kind of stuff happening, you know, if there's too much misinformation going out, that the president could act in emergency powers and flip the switch on the internet just to stop everybody from saying it, or stop certain areas from saying it, that wouldn't be right, because now you're punishing everybody else that's not doing it. And, you know, with today's day and age, you're interrupting a lot of people's livelihoods now because, you know, the president got a stick up his ass and wanted to flip the switch, you know, so I think it's a reason why it kind of died with Obama administration, is because they couldn't figure out what was going on. But it says in both cases, action would have far-reaching consequences for companies and individuals relying on the systems for power or to move money. See, and that's another thing too. You kill the internet, you shut down the banking system. You know, because I mean, right now most banking systems run off of AWS, which is the Amazon Web Server. I mean, all you'd have to do, I mean, we see that daily whenever they have a cyber attack, or not a cyber attack, but some type of a DDoS attack on their servers. You see things go down. When things go down on the internet for, you know, a split moment, I mean, download Down Detector on your phones and you'll be able to see when things go down. I mean, a lot of that, the first thing you see is the AWS servers are the very first one that usually gets hit. And it's usually because they've either been DDoSed or they've had some failures, or just like the whole cyber cyber attack or CyberWorks internet service that killed all the Microsoft systems, you know, on the East Coast and the West Coast a few weeks ago. You know, everybody woke up to blue screens of death on their computers. That's an example of an internet kill switch, ladies and gentlemen. When you wake up in the morning, your personal PCs you have at home, your internet's still running, but Microsoft is not. Because right now, y'all don't realize it, but Microsoft is a monopoly too. When you think about it, it should be tested under the Sherman Act because your computer system didn't work that day. I mean, mine was fine, but there was a lot of people's on the East Coast.
Elon talked about that. He said it was weird that you had to create an email just to access Microsoft.
Yeah. Yeah, because anything you do, I mean, when you get a brand new computer, you realize that anytime you get a brand new computer, you have to have a Microsoft account in order for it to work. If you want to use Windows, which is the monopoly on all operating software, unless you own a Mac. You know, because Windows, I think now it does, but Windows used to not work on Mac. But so yeah, I mean, so this is so it says here, it says the president authority to deal with catastrophic cyber attack aimed at critical infrastructure would be carefully defined and constrained. The president would not have the authority to take over critical infrastructures. Some questions needed for emergency president cyber authority. So basically what they're talking about, the reason why Obama was wanting to put this in was for the fact of, you know, we were getting a lot of threats from Russia and everybody else about cyber attacks. You know, so even though most of our cyber attacks
were actively cyber.
Yeah, well, most of our cyber attacks don't even come from Russia. They come from Turkey and places like that. Because the dude that hacked me, I found somebody that knew how to trace VPNs, and they traced him back to Turkey. So a lot of these cyber attacks we're seeing is actually coming from like the Turkey area and stuff like that, which I'm sure are Russian, you know, somehow bound to Russia, but yeah, I mean, a lot of like the ransomwares and stuff like that come from Russia because, you know, they've pulled a lot of information when they come to researching them. They all come from a Russian area. But then again, you know, they could be using VPN that bounces their signal around to wherever. What I think what will probably end up happening is I think VPNs will probably go away. You know, I could see VPNs going away. That way they'll be able to track your location on your phone or on your computer and check everything you do on your computer. Because that's the only thing now is like if you use a VPN, you know, if you're a gamer, you use a VPN.
Wouldn't that be the cloud though, if you think about it? Wouldn't that be the cloud already?
Well, what do you mean?
Because cloud is storing all our information.
Well, you have to put it on the cloud. It doesn't. I mean, unless you have your settings, you don't automatically put your stuff on the cloud. None of my stuff goes to my cloud.
A OneDrive or one of those.
Now, no, I don't use those.
No,
I have them shut down and disabled on my computers. I use Google Drive for like stupid shit, like little files or transferring files, but I don't use it for documentation or anything like that. That's stored on a file on my computer.
I got you, man. I'm just curious.
No, you can shut down that OneDrive because it fills up anyways, especially if you do a lot of graphics like I do, it fills up really quick. Unless you want to pay for extra. But yeah, you can disable that OneDrive. You can disable that cloud drive on your computer. But no, that's what I'm saying. I mean, there's just so much shit that this bill, if it does go through, or if they ever decide to put it through, I'm not saying they're doing it, but what I'm saying is like with the whole UK thing, you know, threatening to, they literally have a task force that's scouring the internet and scouring Twitter and Instagram, Facebook, and all of them. They're scouring social media for anything. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that, I mean, with its current, I don't know, with as much as it's under fire right now, I don't know if they would actually be that ruthless to actually help the UK, but they might. But all it would take is just like, hey, we see this, and they'd have to go out and investigate. So if you repost something, or if you, like I said, it's even a retweet. If you repost or retweet, whatever you guys want to call it now, on X, I mean, they're going to look at those too. But they're trying to get Elon to be held accountable for doing that. But then again, he's a platform. He's not a publisher. So according to U.S. laws, he's not liable for what content is on the site. Now, if he was listed as a publisher, you know, like magazines and newspapers and everything else. Those are publishers. They're held under a different guidelines when it comes to things. Platforms are not. That's how YouTube gets away with a bunch of stuff. It's because they're a platform. That's how Kick gets away with the stuff. Like I said in the beginning, they're a platform. X is the same way. They're a platform. They're registered as a platform, not a publisher. But like I said, I'm a firm believer, and whatever you guys think, if you guys think it is too, put the comments in the chat or whatever, DM and give us your thoughts or whatever, because kind of curious what you all think about the whole deal of, you know, if the possibility one side or the other, if they decide to have, you know, Congress decides to put that emergency power in their hands here in the United States, what your thoughts about what you think would possibly happen. But yeah, just be very, very careful about what you post and everything else, because shit can go downhill really, really quick.
So let's get on to him. Let's get on to the other one, Mr. Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
MSN.
So, well, there's a couple of things with Joe Rogan. One of the things that flew up today.
Do not show any videos of him due to the fact that he's suing those people.
No, I mean, you know, it's the reason why he's suing them is because, shit, lost it.
Joe Rogan says he is not endorsed Robert Kennedy Jr.
Yeah, that's one thing. I was just looking for MS.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Last was it yesterday or was it Wednesday that you showed me that? Or no, I think I saw it separately on me. Him talking about ladybugs, and he had like ladybugs all over him in this video.
Oh, you're talking about
Robert? Yeah. I thought it was the most bizarre video I've ever seen of just this dude talking about ladybugs and how they eat amphids. Amphids.
Oh yeah, he's got some. I mean, if you watched his live show on Netflix the other day, it was pretty interesting because he came out and talked about a bunch of stuff. But he also came out and said one thing too. He goes, you know what? He goes, I'm a professional shit talker. If you believe everything I say, you're the problem. Which it's truth. You know, he is a professional shit talker. He's a comedian. He that's what he makes his living off of, is talking shit, just like every other comedian. You know,
I can't discredit that, folks, because like when I make my jokes, I'm making stuff up.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, like I don't have to divulge my entire life. So when I'm coming up with a joke, a lot of times it's made up. You know, like I'm using people that I know, maybe without names, but yeah, I'm making shit up as I go. So I understand that point of Mr. Rogan.
But no, this whole thing is Joe Rogan. This came up the other day. I just it's been out for a few days, so I just seen the post come across my feed. It says Joe Rogan suing MSNBC over deceptive Kamala Harris video. So basically what they did, and of course it's good old drama alert. So what they did is they took clips of him talking with Tulsi Gabbard, or talking about Tulsi Gabbard, and they took.
Who the fuck is Tulsi Gabbard, please?
She's Hawaii. She used to be like, I think the governor of Hawaii at one time, or the senator from Hawaii.
Senator from Hawaii, okay.
But she was the one that ran with Kamala for presidency a few years ago.
Okay.
She debated Kamala. But anyway, so he was talking, I don't know, this isn't the video. Let's see if I can find the video. I must have seen it on YouTube. But anyways, I'm not going to show YouTube, because the last time I showed something on YouTube, I got told that I was using other people's content. I was like, okay, everybody else does it, but I can't do it. All right, YouTube. But anyways, he was talking about Tulsi Gabbard, and so MSNBC put a clip out and took a lot of the things that he was talking about and chopped it up and made like a clip, but with different sections of the video to make it sound like he was talking about Kamala. Basically endorsing Kamala, saying she was a strong woman, all this and blah blah blah. The only thing that really was messed up is that they left the part in about her going to or serving in the military. Kamala's never served in the military. I mean, that was a big give if anybody paid attention to that clip. But the fact of the matter, they clipped all this up, and this isn't the first time he done it, because they did the whole thing with his ivermectin when he was during COVID. They tried to sit there and say that he was taking horse tranquilizers when he was taking the human form of ivermectin instead of the veterinary form. There's two different forms. He was taking the human pill, not the veterinarian pill. And he was prescribed by a doctor. They tried to push that out. And he actually had somebody on his podcast that was with MSNBC and was literally railing him on saying that, wouldn't give him an inch and wouldn't give him the time to speak until he was going to apologize, saying that they were wrong for saying that. And he finally did. But anyway, so they put a bunch of clips up and put it together saying that he was pro Kamala Harris. Well, now he's supposedly, like I said, this is just reported. It's never been denied or confirmed, as far as I know, by Joe Rogan, but supposedly suing MSNBC for $30 million, alleging the network deceptively edited episodes of his podcast to falsely imply, endorsing Kamala Harris. It says, unbelievable. MSNBC deceptively edited this clip to make it look like Joe Rogan is fawning over Kamala Harris. Oh, there it is, right here.
She's going to win. No, she's not. She can win. She is a strong woman. She is a person who served overseas twice. She in a medical unit. She was a congresswoman for 8 years.
All right, so
she's going to win. No, she's not. She can win. She is a strong woman. She is a person who served overseas twice. She in a medical unit. She was a congresswoman for 8 years.
Yeah. See, that would have given it away right there, because everybody knows Kamala didn't serve in the military.
She is a person of color. She's everything you want. She's going to win. No, she's not. She can win. They just want no Trump, no matter what. She's going to win.
So this is Tulsi. Like I said, that was a conversation he was having about. This is Tulsi Gabbard.
Not sure if you guys caught this, but MSNBC was exposed today for yet another set of lies. They deceptively edited together this video of different Joe Rogan comments to make it appear that he was singing the praises of Kamala Harris.
She's going to win. No, she's not. She can win. She is a strong woman. She is a person who served overseas twice. She in a medical
to try what's really
what
Rogan of the truth of what Joe Rogan said. And I think MSNBC has since taken this post down. But what's really serious here is that not only does Joe Rogan deserve an apology, there's actually something far bigger at stake here. This is yet another example of how MSNBC is working hand in glove with the Democrat elite and the Kamala Harris campaign to try to spread lies.
So that woman that's in there, is that the woman that he was talking about in those videos?
Yes, this is Tulsi Gabbard. He was having a conversation with that other guy telling about how Tulsi Gabbard, what her career was, because she did go and serve as a medic in a medic unit over in Iraq.
And is she a congresswoman?
She was. I think she used to be. She's the one that was a Democrat and walked away. She's an independent now.
Okay.
But yeah, so the fact of the matter is, like I said, they did take it down. But
I mean, Fox got sued recently, so I can see MSN.
That was for the Dominion thing.
No, I know, but still,
that's a totally different thing.
I think this is accountability. You know,
I mean,
if
I guess
Joe
it's
Rogan
misinformation.
feel, yeah, if he feels that it's the kind of what is it? Defamation. Yeah.
But I mean, I hope he does. I really do, because I mean, that's one. It goes back to the whole misinformation thing we just talked about. You know, these companies. You know, this is the kind of shit they used to do back in paper, when papers and television was the only thing. You didn't see it on television as much because there was heavily regulated rules on television production, but newspaper production was kind of a little bit more relaxed. I mean, you couldn't readily advertise misinformation. But even though some of the papers, what they used to do is, it's like, you don't see it much now, but when a paper did a story like this here, and as an apology, they had to do what was called a retraction. So they had to write a retraction article retracting the information they said in the paper, but there was no stipulated guidelines of where this retraction had to be. So they used to set the retraction like on page 10 of the paper in a little column at the bottom, you know, but as long as it was in the paper and it was a retraction, they were following the law. But, you know, now that you see this today, you know, when people screw up on the internet, even though most of them are for content, you know, I just seen one today, somebody apologizing for cheating, you know, on their girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, and they're on their boo-hoo, and it's like, who gives a fuck? Everybody's like in the chat, it's like, who really cares? You cheated, big deal, go on with your life, get off it, you know, just quit posting for content. You know, you don't know what's true, you don't know what's real. Social media is a fantasy land. It's so hard to find the truth in social media because of all the misinformation. I mean, I really do hope they find a way to clean it up. I don't think, by the way, they're wanting to do it, you know, like with the UK doing it, I don't think that's a way to clean it up. Because now you're stepping on the toes of people that are actually trying to make a living, an honest living doing this stuff. And, you know, and if it gets to the point to where they're controlling the internet, to where, you know, Congress feels that shit's being misinformation, you know, who's going to determine what misinformation is my biggest question.
Well, that's true.
You know, is it going to be Congress that's going to determine misinformation, or are you going to establish a set of guidelines and rules of what is misinformation? You know, I mean, we already kind of know what hate speech is. I mean, we've already been through the whole hate speech thing. We kind of understand that hate speech is something that, you know, one, incites violence, or two, you know, once, you know, you're advertising somebody to, you know, unalive themselves or something like that, that'd be classified as hate speech. But when it comes to misinformation, that's going to be kind of hard to break down. I mean, I guess it's not. I guess you could kind of do like what they did back when the yellow journalism laws went into place, you know. But then again, are you going to have what they did in the papers? Or are you going to have, you know, the editor sitting there going, oh, put that in there, we'll just throw a retraction in later? Because see, once you get the information out there, you might be able to retract it, but you still implanted that thought in whoever's reading its head. It's kind of like a jury. It always cracks me up watching a jury trial. Always cracks me up. You know, it's just like watching them on TV and watching them in real life. It always cracks me up because, you know, if the prosecuting attorney or the defense attorney says something and the judge goes, objection, jury, you'll disregard all statements. Come on, people. They do that on purpose because they plant the seed. You know, as a human being, we all know once we get that seed planted, and just because somebody says disregard, you're not going to disregard it. It's still going to be a part of your judgment call. You know, and it just always cracks me up. It's just like, why do you even waste your breath? So just fucking let them do it. I mean, you've already allowed it to be presented and allowed the seed to be planted. What's the point, you know? But yeah, I mean, when it comes down to this, you know, defamation, and, you know, we are a country of lawsuits. You know, lawsuits is just kind of like for some people, like putting pants on every morning.
Yeah.
It's really easy to sue for anything.
Yeah, especially in your country.
Oh,
I
definitely.
mean, it happens here too, but
I don't know. I kind of see Canada's the way Canada Parliament runs and the way the court systems run it there. I think it'd be a little bit harder to try to. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I think it'd be a little bit harder than what it is here to actually get it to go through. I think you all probably have
well,
more.
I mean, civil court is civil court up here. You know, like if somebody wants to sue me, he can put a petition into a magistrate to make me pay, garnish your wage or whatever. You know.
But do you have the option to go and fight it and prove your
Yeah,
innocence?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And the way that you do that is by showing up to court and being
Well, see,
aware of your things.
Well, see, up here, they're kind of chintzy about that. They don't. They're supposed to notify you, but they notify you like the day of court. And a lot of times these people can't go because it's the day of court. And a lot of these people, I mean, you can go back and you can file for an appeal, and they're saying, you know, I was not aware of this. I have my due diligence in court to fight this. You know, so I've seen that a lot. It's just like I've been hit with like, you know, notices of that I owe, you know, default on stuff that I didn't even know I had. And it's just like, when was I supposed to go to court? You know, I never got notice to go to court. You know, and it depends on the judge and how smoochy the judge is with the attorneys. You know, the legal system down here is as broke as anything else. I mean, it's all about who you know. It's the reason why, you know, with the whole Trump thing and everything else, it's the reason why people were so pissed off about that judge there in New York City and the DA is because of the fact that there was a lot of favoritism going on between the judge and the DA and everything, and a lot of other outlying components. You know,
you still got to deal with that too. You still got to deal with that because the Supreme Court struck down his appeal.
Yeah. I mean, he's got to go for sentencing. I know the judge has to. That one that got struck down was for the that one that the Supreme Court overturned.
What do you think? What kind of sentence do you think that he would get?
Hard telling anymore. I don't know. I think there's too much eyes on the judge right now. I think he'll probably do what's legal. Because I know they're trying to get that one appealed because of the fact that his daughter was profiting off of it. The judge's daughter was profiting off of the trial because she was selling merchandise that dealt directly with the trial. She made like what, almost like $100,000, I think, off of it or something like that. But they said that there was a conflict of interest because because his daughter was profiting off of what was going on. I don't know.
So he should have recused himself from it, right?
Yeah.
That fucking word, man. That's one word that needs to be taken out of the fucking dictionary.
Yeah, I mean it's I'm surprised, like with the Fannie Willis trial. Or not the Fannie Willis trial, that thug, that one that's going on right now. The judge recused himself from that one, the one that started it, and there's a new judge in there now. Now they're basically having to retry the whole damn case over again, so they're trying to get a mistrial. Which I don't know all about that case either. I just know that, you know, the only thing I know about his case is the fact that some of his songs and stuff like that he wrote had a lot to do with a lot of criminal activity that actually happened with that gang that group that he was with. I don't want to call it gangs. I don't want to misinformation anything. But that group that he was with. So they were trying to say, I mean, I remember that came out like last year. This case has been going on for like over a year. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'll be the first to admit our justice system, you know, I worked with it. It's screwed as hell. Oh yeah, the new video of probably how it's easier to Is this it? Shit. Oh, come on. New York Times. Why do I have to? Let's go over CNN. Is this a new one? Nope, this isn't a new one. Damn, CNN's not updated. What the hell? Oh, Thought I had it saved. I'm sure I probably do, but I've gone through a bunch of other different shit. Probably don't have it saved anymore. Latest video related to the Good Morning America. Okay, here we go. That's it. There we go.
Month. Newly released video shows police trying to stop the alleged gunman just moments before shots rang out. Our senior investigative correspondent Aaron Kontersky is here with more. Good morning, Aaron.
And good morning to you, Deborah. This is the first time we're seeing what police officers saw last month in Butler, Pennsylvania during the attempt on former President Trump's life. You'll be able to see when the chaos subsided, the officers were left with the same questions we've all been asking.
This close, bro. Dude, he turned around on me. He's straight up.
This is the Butler police officer who first confronted the gunman moments before he opened fire on former President Trump. The officers hoisted to the roof, sees the shooter, and falls to the ground.
He was right where you picked me up, bro. He was on that left side.
He calls out directions and cautions officers racing to the rooftop.
And he's laying down, prone out, book bag next to him.
As more police rush in, guns drawn, the same officer is hoisted up again.
You got me up once, get me up again. All right. One more. Ready? Yep. All right, ready? Let's go. 1, 2, 3.
Once on the roof, it's evident the shooter, Thomas Crooks, is dead.
One in custody, HR building south, rooftop.
Butler County released the footage from police body cameras in response to public records requests from news organizations.
So see, for the fact of the matter is that they were relaying information already once they sit there and they were relaying over the radio that there was a shooter on the roof. And because that's what they estimate what happened is when the officer jumped off the roof, that's what spooked him and he needed to take his shot as quick as possible. It's the reason why he missed. You know, that's what they're saying. Which I can understand that, you know, just like everybody, all these professional snipers or whatever have been coming on YouTube and everything else, reenacting the whole thing. You know, that if you're popping back up and trying to get your sighted back in, you're not going to get sighted back in.
Including ABC News.
Is that how he got up?
I have no idea.
Are you guys committed?
That dude.
I have no idea.
A Secret Service agent is seen staring at this gray shed, an expandable ladder, as officers vent their frustration.
I told the Secret Service, post guy over here. I told him that at the meeting on Tuesday.
How a gunman made it to a roof.
So see, the officer's like, okay, I told Secret Service Tuesday if they needed to post somebody on this roof. And the Secret Service tried to blame local law enforcement. So they're trying to pass the buck. Oh, we didn't do it. Local law enforcement. We just, it's like, so they were
Holy
already,
shit, man. You got quiet there for a moment and I thought that they fucking muted you. Fuck.
Who?
You did. For like a second, it was like just dead quiet. And I was like, holy fuck. That was quick, man.
Rooftop 400 feet from the former president, leaving the officers bewildered.
I'd say this is a...
Sorry, not sure which gas company.
You
can hear him say, somebody fucked up.
I think he said shit show. This is a shit show.
Somebody fucked up. And he's like, I know it's not us. Somebody fucked up. No, I mean, so, I mean, and that's what I'm saying is like today with shit like this happening, you know, you go back to the JFK assassination, you had the Zapruder film, you had some of these other pictures from different angles and everything else showing different, but a lot of those things were suppressed. They were taken into custody and nobody's ever saw them. I mean, I wish I could find that one because somebody was like cleaning out their attic and found an old 8mm reel that somebody else took a photo of, but they, instead of turning it in to like an investigator or something like that. They called local law enforcement, and law enforcement took it and gave it to the FBI, and nobody knows where it's at now. But the fact of the matter is, it's like now we have cell phone cover. I mean, all those cell phones. There's been so much cell phone footage coming up in the last ever since this happened. I mean, it's like every other day you come up with new cell phone footage because everybody had it. You know, everybody out there on the grass was witness to it. I mean, they have one that came up last week that one of the guys was actually videotaping it as he was yelling at officers, saying he was up on the roof. And Crooks literally, he showed the video, he literally pointed the gun down to the crowd before he pointed it back up out into the, you know, the crowd below the AGR building, before he pointed it back out towards Trump and all of them. But I mean, yeah, I think Cheadle took is like, fuck it, I'm done. But I mean, she's still gonna have, I mean, there's still a chance for civil liabilities. I mean, if the family of Comprador wants to, there's still civil liabilities once this criminal action comes down. Once this criminal hearing gets out of the way, and they, whatever their findings will be, you know, then there's going to be civil liabilities. And look, it's the same thing with O.J. Simpson trial. You know, he lost in the criminal trial, but they won in the civil trial.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, I can see that.
So I mean, there's gonna be. I mean, the government's got to be paying one way or the other. It might not see trial date, but they will pay these families. I mean, even though that the GoFundMe account, what was the GoFundMe, like almost $1.5 million or something like that, or $600,000 or $700,000 that they I know that was a few weeks ago that they acquired through, I think it was close to $1 million they acquired through that GoFundMe account that was set up. So I don't know. Shit's getting crazy. Oh, you got anything? That was all I had.
Not really. I mean, I was going to talk about like the things that we've been seeing lately. But then I looked at my Twitter, and fucking Elon Musk has been sending tweets left and right.
Oh, has he?
Because I think I said his name.
Is you sure it's actually the Elon one, or is it the Elon parody?
No, yeah, it's the Elon one, but that's all I'm seeing now is just Elon in my fucking feed.
See what he's saying.
Support freedom of speech in the UK.
It's all fake. Crazy Kamala rally in Arizona tonight is an invitation only. Oh, wow. Oh, the Mr. Beast thing. Have you been keeping up on that? Dude.
Aiden Ross has to take back the Rolex that he gave the president.
I was going to say, I didn't think he was going to be able to keep that stuff. I think his campaign manager probably goes, "You better give that shit back."
Yeah, man, I feel like I'm just gonna, do the thing that I do for a little bit. I don't even know what time it is right now.
11 o'clock almost.
Yeah, so I'll probably do that until about midnight, 1 o'clock. And then...
Oh, breakdancing the Olympics now. Did you see that?
Shut up.
Yeah.
What? See, folks, he likes talking to me. Right now, he's trying to convince me not to game. That's why he's. That's got to be fucking fake.
I know he sucks at it. No, I heard they were going to put that in there. I heard they were going to put breakdancing in. But dude, that's like, who in the? Nah, who is that? That can't be the USA. Look at that dude.
I think this is that fucking troll,
USA and
man.
Australia. No, they're on the Paris. They're at the Olympics. That's got to be That's got to be Australia, man. I gotta look this up, man. I gotta get actual footage. On battles with breakers known as B-boys and B-girls showcase their skills. And
What is that?
I was trying to see if there was any actual video that I could show without getting copyrighted.
This that can't be real, man. That can't be real.
Big day of team sports at the Olympics, women's basketball semifinals, both football finals. The day started in the set.
Added recently to the Olympics in a bid to attract more young viewers to the games. The breaking, its origins coming, of course, from the Bronx in New York from the 1970s in the US. There will be 32 breakers competing here today. And tomorrow, that's 16 women or B-girls and 16 men known as B-boys. The competition here at the Olympics, well, it works quite simply. Dancers will be competing in one-on-one battles, and they'll be competing during 2 60-second throwdown. A throwdown is when a breaker starts breaking, quite simply, starts busting their moves, shall we say. The DJs start spinning the music, and a host on the microphone, and 9 judges choose who they think had the better moves. It's the DJ that selects the music, and the breakers are given points regarding freestyle or how they manage to improvise according to the music, and they show their moves in turn with a variety of moves and execution and originality. There's all the sorts of things that breakers will be getting points for. There'll be 16 competitors for the men and the women. They'll be divided into groups, and there'll be kind of a round robin situation until we'll obviously be left with 2 finalists that will face each other off in that last final battle for the gold medal. Obviously, there's been no Olympics beforehand to kind of know who the real favourites are or not, though we can take the World Championships from last year as an indicator.
All right, YouTube. I'm killing YouTube. You guys have a good rest of your night. If you guys want to come follow us, we're still on X and Rumble. But you guys have a good night, because I'm not going to get copyright claimed for this.